lots and lots of hearts. This is great. All right. So we are kind of on time-ish. I'm Matt. I am the CEO here at Pela. I'm going to answer questions today. I can already see some stuff rolling in. But what we're going to do is we're going to go live with Lomi. So if you've seen the news, we've released a pretty innovative piece of technology today. We're doing a pre-order for it. It's gone a little insane. And I'm joined by Cassidy, who is one of our material science co-ops here. And she's actually going to start Lomi off for us today. I think she's standing behind it. And we're going to fill it and run it and show you guys what it looks like. Actually, Cassidy, is there stuff in there from yesterday still? Can you hear me? And we're going to fill it. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, Matt, I think we can hear you now.
You can? Yeah. All right. So, Cassidy, can you show us what, I guess, is there stuff in Lomi right now, or are we going to fill it right now?
Can you hear us, Matt?
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. So, Cassidy, can you show us what, I think there's a delay. Can you see if they can hear me?
Yes, there is stuff in Lomi right now. So yesterday.
Yeah, go for it.
So yesterday we ran the bioplastic cycle, as you may have seen on our stories. So today we're going to open it up and see what's inside. And we're going to empty it out into this clear glass bowl so we can see the contents.
So we're going to go like this. Hold on. Then record.
So, this is after a bioplastic cycle, and initially we had food waste and a Pela case, and as well as a mailer that was 100% compostable. And there's no remains of the mailer visually, and you can see that the case has degraded and broken down. So the end result of this is to compost. It has microorganisms in it that will allow it to mature, and thus you can use it to elevate your topsoil or put it in your plants. So that's really exciting. So for our next thing, we will fill this bucket with food waste and run an express cycle that will hopefully be done by the end of this live, and we can show you the end result. I'll put the bucket back in. And here I have some of my own personal food waste from my kitchen sink. We have some orange peels, banana peels. Sounds gross. Bell pepper. And let's see, celery. Oh, I like oranges. Eggshells. And some coffee grounds. So I'll pour that all in here. Okay. I just need to make sure the bucket is aligned. Maybe if I could have Denvier help me out with the bucket. Sure.
There you go. All good.
Thanks, Denvier. the next step is to just put the lid on, seal it in. There we go. And just to mention, this is a working Lomi prototype, so one of our first. And it's really easy. You just press the button to turn it on. And right now, the cycle is already on express. But if you want to change the cycles, you would just press the button for an extra long second. But since we're already at this mode, we'll keep it there. And to start it, you just press it again. And this signals that Lomi is going to start its magic. And maybe halfway, we'll check in on it and see what it looks like. So I'll hand it over to you, Matt.
Awesome. Can you still hear me, Cassidy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I think Cassidy said it, but what she's using right now is one of our working prototypes. So you can kind of see like the finishing on it is like, I'll do a little close up. I'm going to walk over to that room. We're all here at the Pela office. But you'll see that like the finishing on it's a little rough because we actually hand make these right now. So this is why we're doing a pre-order so that we can raise the funds to actually go and like mass produce them. So yeah, thanks Cassidy. It's on then? It's gonna run? Okay, great. So I'm gonna head over to the other room.
Almost joining with that.
And then Emma from Final is gonna join us. Cassidy, I'm coming to you. So don't mind me. Hey guys. All right, here's Lomi. You can kind of see the finishing on it. It's actually, yeah, you can definitely feel it, it's running. So I'm gonna, where do I hook this thing up? Right here, Milo, dude, I don't want to break my own phone. So you can do it. Awesome. Yeah, Leslie's commenting. So it's not, it's actually not very loud. The device itself runs, I would say, like a little more quiet than like a fridge, right? So it doesn't produce a ton of noise. You can't hear it now because like I'm wearing an AirPod and it's not there. Can you turn off the second mic? Yeah, so there's no feedback. Thanks, everybody.
That's as slow as it goes. That's as slow as it goes.
That one's off. Can we check? Are we still getting feedback? We're still on echo.
That's as low as it goes. I can't get quieter.
You can probably leave. Like leave the IG Live. And oh no, that one's on, right? Sorry, 1 second, everybody.
We have to
This stuff's always fun.
for the final to come in. So come in.
Yeah, it's better because I'm not really talking. Are we good? Okay. Can you guys, somebody comment if you can still hear me? Any comment at all? No feedback. Awesome. So Lomi is still behind me. I'm gonna kind of move this so you can see it back here. We're gonna see if we can get another camera going on Lomi since we were hoping that you guys could watch paint dry today. So it's a pretty boring process. Like it's gonna run right now for about 4 hours. And then we're gonna check back in with it at about 12:30 PST. So it's, yeah, a little under 4 hours from now. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna let in a whole bunch of other people from some great brands like Final Straw, Tentree, Woven, I think Stojo, and who else?
You got everyone.
I got everybody? Oh, and True Earth, Ryan from True Earth. So I can see that people are saying they just ordered theirs. Whoever's ordering it, thank you so much. This is big for us. We've been working on this for a little under 3 years. So it's kind of been nuts. To somebody who's asking where we're located, we're in British Columbia, Canada. So about 3 hours inland from Vancouver in a place called the Okanagan. And while I'm waiting for Emma from Final, she's next, right? I'll just answer some questions. So how much energy is it using while it's running? So we've had power meters on it, on our prototypes, and it's using, for a very long cycle, it uses a little, like about 0.7 kilowatt hours. So here in BC, that would be about 9 cents of electricity. So if you were to run it once, or like say 3 times a week, you know, in my family, that would be, what if that 9 times 3? So a little less, like a little less than $2 a month is what it would cost in electricity. So it's really, really power efficient. I'm gonna see if there's other manufacturing process. Yeah, we're still actually working on the mass production of this thing, right? So like that's a prototype. We hand make that right now. That's done with a CNC machine. And it is the actual scale up process. We're working on that. But if you know anything about us, you know, making sure that it's as low carbon footprint of a process as possible is really, really important to us as a company. And we, like, everything we make is at the highest possible standard. Every factory we use is like triple checked. They even meet like Disney's level of standards for making kids' toys. So we will not be screwing around with how high quality the product is. The warranty, I actually don't have that here. It'll be industry best. So also another thing that, like, we care a lot about our community. There's a little under 1 million people that have supported Pela since we started. And we definitely want to make sure that everybody has always got the best experience with our product. Yeah, somebody's asking about bioplastics already. Yeah, so the cool thing is this will eat a whole bunch of compostable plastics. The hard job now for Pela is actually going to be testing all of them. And there's a lot of them out there, and some of them actually aren't that good, right? So like, let's start with that. A lot of the product that we've been testing, so like a brand like Stella McCartney, they will ship their product out in a biodegradable poly bag, right? Because it's fashion. And that poly bag is made by a company called Tepa, which you saw earlier. Those bags, they compost so fast in Lomi, it's unreal. How do I know when Final? There we go. Let's get Emma in here. And then I'll answer some other questions later about, I'm seeing tons of them. Emma.
Hi.
How you doing?
What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
Happy 420.
I know. We picked the weirdest day to launch this thing, didn't we? It's like, do we celebrate Lomi or are we celebrating something else? You know, I'm sure you know this because you spent a lot of time in BC. Kelowna is like one of the, you know, weed capitals of the planet. People who are here for Lomi should totally know that. So how is everything going at Final? What's going on for you guys this month?
It's good. We've got lots of exciting Earth Day stuff going on. We just got on the Today Show this morning, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Damn.
So,
good for you guys.
It's really great. It's good that you know, we're shifting back. The world's opening up. Everyone's talking about sustainability again. It feels great. It's exciting. I'm sure you feel the same way. Yeah.
I mean, so can you unpack that for everybody? Like, as a brand that's sort of like in the world of sustainable living and eco-friendly and climate change, the last 12 months, what's that been like with COVID being the dominating conversation?
Well, I think that a lot of people kind of shifted inward, and the focus has been more on, you know, personal health and well-being. And though, you know, I've always viewed that as being very connected to the planet because we are one. I think that it's just been more about surviving versus thriving. And so, you know, when we're thriving, we're looking outward, and the focus is on, you know, more than just the self. And so that's kind of my, I guess, like a little more existential take on it all. But yeah, I mean,
it's the whole Maslow's hierarchy thing, right? So it's like we were all like way up here at self-actualization, and then kind of we got kicked back down to, holy shit, I need to survive and like feed my family and stay healthy. And all that stuff.
Exactly, which I get. Like, you know, I would say I've used more plastic in the last 12 months and, you know, been less focused on,
Sure.
you know, my little things. And I do see a question here, Emma. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Emma is from Final Straw. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a hierarchy of needs. And I think that people are feeling this very deep desire to connect with others, to connect with nature, and to kind of get back to normal, which,
Sure.
you know, right before Corona hit, normal was everyone giving a lot of F's about sustainability and being really passionate about that and using their voice towards that effect.
Right. Yeah, we've definitely, like, we've seen the same. It's been, you know, at the beginning of the whole thing, like last April, May, June, you know, it didn't seem like much was going to change. But then, like, by, I would say, August, September, November, when like a lot of the world was entering, like, or it was in longer lockdowns, you know, you could really tell, like, and even if you go on Google Trends and you look at like people searching for keywords around sustainability, it dropped off like substantially. You can't, I'm with you. You cannot blame people. Like,
No.
my own family's behaviors changed substantially with this whole thing. Yeah, I heard somewhere that like plastic usage or manufacturing of plastic was up 500% or something like that, like year over year, because of, like, just think of the, like, all the PPE that had to be made, like everything, medical supplies is almost all single-use plastic, right? So like it completely makes sense. So tell me, like, when it comes to Earth Day, or I guess for us we call it Earth Month, is this, like, for your company, how does this like register on the scale of important times through the year?
It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty important. I mean, you get a lot of press and a lot of people talking about sustainability, a lot of people looking for ways to support sustainable efforts. So, I mean, we've always had a really big April. You know, I wasn't exactly sure how this year would be because of just everything. So, but it's going great. Really excited to see, you know, we got on got highlighted there, and then Today's show today. So pretty exciting stuff, and just hoping that this is kind of, you know, the baby snowball getting kicked down the mountain. Yeah,
I saw somebody just comment that, like, we have to, you know, for cutting out plastic, it's this fishing industries. That person's not wrong, by the way. Fishing is a huge issue, but there's a lot of plastic.
Seaspiracy?
Oh God, have you watched it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
And thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I think that I know a lot of the plastic pollution industry is kind of upset at the message that it portrayed, but I think that, you know, and it's in some ways it minimizes the efforts that a lot of us are making in, you know, individual responsibility towards single-use plastic.
Sure.
And I just think it all matters. I think it's like, just because one thing is more important than the other doesn't mean we shouldn't, or, you know, generates more trash doesn't mean we shouldn't focus in both areas. And I think that in order to get people excited about sustainability and making, you know, sustainable choices, we have to give them opportunities to do so. And then it's going to create this kind of larger cascading effect that affects the fishing industry, and affects, you know, corporate policy, that affects legislation and all of these other things. So it's like saying one aspect of it doesn't matter, I don't think is real.
Yeah, it's not helpful. I guess I got two questions for you. So, like, where do you land on the, like, individual responsibility for a lot of, like, call it climate issues versus the corporate thing? And kind of where that comes from is, like, I don't know if you saw that recent, I think it was on NPR or something, how, like, it was actually British Petroleum that created the concept of a personal carbon footprint as a PR campaign to shift the blame to people. Yeah. And people don't know that. It's like, no, this is the oil industry that made people feel awful that it was them. It wasn't the actual company. So, like, where do you land on some of that crap?
Well, you know, similarly, the whole concept of the litter bug was created by the beverage industry. So the single-use plastic bottles. So, you know, I land in that, like, I think as individuals, we should do what we can do, and we should use our voices and support with our dollars companies that are making a difference. Is that what's really going to push the needle and drive change? No. But we have to have that aspect in order to drive policy, which is going to be the thing that drives change.
So you think, I guess this is it. Like, so my belief is people are the lead domino, right? So like, in order for a whole bunch of things to happen, like we need individuals to start voting with their wallets.
Yes.
And the more the individuals vote with their wallets, the more government and big companies listen.
I think that's a better way of saying it. Like, do all of our collective individual like actions matter as much? No, but our voices matter, and the way that we're supporting policy matters. And so that's what's going to change this bigger needle stuff, you know, like until, you know, these larger corporations are held responsible for the waste that they're producing, they're going to keep doing it. And until, you know, the public. My phone keeps like turning off.
These lives are always like a shit show because, you know, technology never wants to work when you want it to.
It's weird. It keeps like going dim, but I'll just keep tapping it.
Oh, your actual phone keeps dropping. I mean, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
So I guess then, like, I mean, I struggle with the policy thing because it seems like that just takes like a dog's age. Like, you know, for them to even agree that something should happen.
Yeah, totally.
I am super interested to see, like, I think consumers are going to influence business much faster. 100%. Right. And you kind of see it with the greenwashing, and like every company is trying to say that they're more sustainable now, even though they're all full of shit, especially the big ones. But like, I do think that
what are you talking about?
The more
Coca-Cola
consumers
is so sustainable.
They're super sustainable. Yeah, Coca-Cola has nothing to be shameful about.
Right.
I do think it's going to help. Like, I think that the more people actually vote with their wallets, it's almost like the way I've been describing it to people is like it does feel like your vote doesn't matter, right? Because like if you were to spend $25 in support of Final Straw, right? Like that doesn't feel like much. Yeah. At that moment in time. But then everybody's got to realize like there's 330 million people in the US. So like if every single American, forget the rest of the world right now, but like if every single American was to do one extra thing every year, right? The compounding effect of that is gigantic.
Well, and I think almost even more than the effect of the individual action, it's like, what does that effect have on your community? What does that effect have on your family? How are you influencing the behavior of others? Because I do think that our behavior is such a small part of the puzzle, and that, you know, I have so many friends that are like, you know, I now am doing so much more because of the way I saw what you do. And so it's really like we're modeling this for everyone else around us, which I think has the biggest impact. You know, social media is a massive way to influence people, but so is just in-person stuff, like way more so.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all learned that lesson in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think this topic, you know, I relate it to biodegradable stuff. And so, you know, a lot of people would say like, what's the point of switching to biodegradable materials for like to-go containers if you don't have an industrial composter? And so it's like, okay, so do we just freeze on that? And then other people would say like, there's no point in setting up, you know, citywide composting if we don't have enough volume. So it's like
it's the electric car argument.
And be like, nothing matters. No, we have to start somewhere, and it has to just begin, and we have to have more companies like yours innovating these things and making it easier, and it doesn't really matter which one comes first. So that kind of relating that to the individual action versus policy, like they both need to happen. So like instead of just like sitting on your ass and waiting for something to happen, like we just have to do what we can do. Yeah,
it's the perfect is the enemy of progress, right?
Yes.
Like we beat that drum here a lot because like we're not perfect. And I think I saw somebody say like they're even suspect of brands claiming to be sustainable. I think you should be to a point, but like to a point, you also have to recognize that companies like Pela or Final or Tentree, like they aren't perfect, but they're trying, right? And the fact that they're trying and they're doing it now instead of like a company like Lego who's making a commitment for like 2050, Like, that's the
Right.
difference, right? When you see a big company say,
Right.
like, over the next 3 decades, we're going to phase out our plastic usage. Like, really? Like, that's the best you can do? That's the
Yeah.
shit you should be suspicious about,
Oh,
right?
totally.
But I'm 100% with you. Like, the whole, like, well, we shouldn't do, well, you know, we shouldn't use biodegradable plastic is our current argument with the world. It's like the electric car. You know, everybody said electric cars would never work because there's too many gas stations. Like, if
Right.
there was ever a dumb fucking argument, that would be it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, really, guys? Like,
Yeah.
that's the reason that we should not move off of fossil fuels is because it's too big? That's stupid.
Totally. It's like if you get high enough adoption rates, then, you know, everything starts to cascade, and that's where we start to see massive change adopted. But it has to start somewhere. And it's so funny because we get, like, you know, so many haters in the comments, and not a lot lately, but like when we first launched, that are
Sure.
like, you know, what's the point of like a reusable straw? Like, it's such a small part of pollution. And it's like, okay, yeah, duh, we know that. But like,
Right.
do you want to do something or do you want to do nothing?
Well, there's also the power of a symbol.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
like when I first started investing in Pela, you know, and I met Jeremy, the thing I loved about the Pela case when I first met Jeremy was how much of a badge and a symbol it could be, even though it's something small, right? Like that, I think that in and of itself, like, look throughout history, like human history, and, you know, beacons of hope and symbols and like those things actually move populations. Waiting for a government to fix things is a really bad path to a cleaner future.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they can't do it.
Yeah. And, you know, we're tribal creatures. And so when you see that symbol of similarity between yourself and another person, it immediately creates an alignment. And so, like, I think that when I see someone out with a Pela case, I'm like, ah, and they're like,
yeah.
Ah. And it's just like, you know, it's an amazing way to connect with others and, you know, create community.
Yeah, I know. I do remember when you first, it's funny. I'm just, for those that don't know, like, I'm with Emma right now. She's from Final Straw. Emma launched Final on Earth Day. Was it 2 years ago?
3
years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's actually 2-year anniversary.
So when we were talking about, like, when do we actually want to launch Lomi? So we started working on Lomi just under 3 years ago. And the thing I was telling my team, I'm like, we should really do it as close to Earth Day as possible. Like, it's the time that conversation is happening. And I remembered your launch, right? When the first Final Straw came out. So how has the business evolved since then? Like, what else do you guys make now? Like, just give everybody the, like, here is what Final does.
Totally. Awesome. Well, yeah, I remember when we first launched and you and I connected, and I was just like, oh my God, Matt, help. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's been pretty awesome to have you, you know, as a constant source of support. But yeah, so we started off with Final Straw. This was our first product, little reusable, collapsible straw, pretty nifty. Comes with a little cleaning device. And what's great about it is that you can just throw it right on your keychain and take it everywhere. But, you know, we don't want to stop there. And obviously straws are a really small part of the problem. So one of our next products is Final Spork, which is my personal favorite.
Oh yeah, you sent me one of those. They're awesome.
It's the best.
My kid loves that.
This is my favorite product that we make. We also do a fork for those forkers out there. I have converted to spork, which I never thought I would. And we also make a smoothie and boba straw and reusable wipes to replace single-use sanitizing wipes. So,
is the straw still the hero product? Like, is that the thing that you're most known for?
You know, cutlery has gotten kind of like here with it.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes it outperforms an under. You know, I think that's going to be the next big thing in that, you know, we're all really into takeout and using that a lot. And so this is like a really easy, compact way to at least say no to one part of the plastic of the takeout. And yes, as we said earlier, like, it might seem like it's an insignificant, you know, change, but it adds up in such a huge way. We use recently Uber Eats cut out or made it that you had to opt in to getting single-use cutlery in your takeout order,
Ah,
and it saved 30 million plastic
yeah,
forks
that's not
in the
small.
first month. It's like crazy. That's so
Yeah.
many. So, you know, I really
That,
do find
I don't think people realize often. I mean, sorry, there's a lot of people on here who are in the zero waste, less waste community. They get it. Like they really understand the numbers. When I talk to like my mom about this, you know,
yeah,
like she's in her 60s and she knows that there's waste. But when I tell her something like that, like, oh yeah, like one company doing this would be like 30 million pieces of cutlery, like plastic cutlery every month, that like her head explodes,
it's
right? They don't,
crazy.
nobody knows, like very few people, not nobody, very few people understand like the impact that that little choice from that one company, like that's one company. And they're not even the worst.
Yeah. And all they had to do is add in an opt in to cutlery button.
Yes.
Because we're all just like little programmed robots who are just kind of go by default. And so, you know, it's like, how many times do you need a fork when you get takeout and it's getting delivered to your house? Most people have forks, and not everyone, but like most. So, you know, it doesn't totally make sense. So they, that was championed by Habits of Waste. They're an amazing nonprofit. I highly recommend everyone check them out. And that was their cutout cutlery campaign that is still going, and they're getting more and more companies joining on.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's, you know, as we've been prepping the launch of Lomi, which I don't know, have you seen the little guy behind me? There's Lomi.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Can we start talking about compost, please?
We can talk compost, sure. Yeah. But I do want to say, like, as we've been prepping the launch of this thing, we've had a lot of questions. We had almost like 100 and some thousand people signed up for the wait list for the launch, and lots of really, really smart questions, because people are like, they get it, like they're starting to really get it.
Yeah.
And this idea of like, you know, the thing that we toil with is, does this give people the excuse to just consume poorly? Right. I don't think so. I think people will always opt, if you give them the choice, right, they will opt for the best option, providing it does not cause them some amount of sacrifice. Right. So like what I love about your products and what we try to do is, you're trying to like look at human behavior and just say, how do you very gently swap something out?
Yeah.
So that the person doesn't even know it's happened. Right.
100%.
So yeah, let's talk compost. So people, can you give people your education and background first? Because this is why I like talking to Emma about compost and all this crap.
Okay, I don't know if you saw the comments about our need for a podcast, but I couldn't agree more. I just love chatting with you, Matt. This is always so fun.
I'm launching mine soon, so we'll do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, I studied neuroscience in my undergraduate at University of California, Santa Barbara, and then I did my master's in environmental management and sustainability at Harvard. I worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory and their waste minimization department for 4 years, and then tried to tried to leave it all to be a ski bum, and that didn't work, and ended up, you know, launching Final, because I just couldn't really like completely disconnect, and it was just a really amazing time where, you know, people were talking about straws like all the time, and so we decided to come up with a solution to making it something that's portable, easy to clean, easy to carry with you, and yeah, it's been a wild ride ever since.
So for everybody that was listening to her list out her background, what that means is that Emma is far more qualified to talk about this shit than I am. I am a marketer, and that is it. So she's super smart. So you've known about Lomi now for a little while, right? I have kind of been teasing it out to you and showing you what we've worked on. What do you see? Like, tell me, like, what is interesting about this space, like composting and waste and all of it to you?
Okay, so this is probably one of the most exciting, like I haven't been this excited about a product in a while. And it's because I think it's like the new age microwave. I don't have a microwave because I don't know. I guess
because
I'm
it's
like,
not good.
I'm like, is it like bad for me? Slash do all these other things that are bad for me. But, you know, I just took out my compost this morning. Okay. It was disgusting. It smelled so bad. My dog immediately went and tried to get into it. And she may barf any moment now because she ate some. So, you know, just like the compost experience is challenging, and it really requires this kind of level up in it. And I would say like a relatively big step. You have to have the space. You have to have, you know, the resources,
Time.
You have the time. Like it's a lot. And so I am very much about how can we make this easy, convenient, and something that everyone, you know, can adopt without too much hassle. And that's why like Lomi just blows my mind. And especially because I think there's such a big disconnect between the idea around what happens to biodegradable materials when you throw them away in the trash. And people are like, you know, so often I go to a restaurant, I ask for no straw, and I hear it's okay, it's biodegradable. And like, you know, all my friends just like brace themselves. They're like, is she gonna like,
yeah,
are we getting
my
the
wife,
lecture?
my wife
like,
does the same thing. I bite my tongue. Like Jen won't. You know, she'll definitely tell them.
So, you know, depending on my rapport with the person, I'll, you know, maybe go into it a little bit, but it's like, you know, organic compounds. So like any paper or anything organic which just means carbon based that goes into a landfill gets surrounded by plastic in the landfill. And so that means it's anaerobically digesting. So it does not have oxygen to digest and break down in a normal way. And when that happens, it creates methane, which is way more potent than CO2, which is what happens in the composting system. So, you know, everyone's like, oh, CO2. It's like, no, methane. Like, that's what we should be freaking out about. And these like,
I explained it as lighter fluid. Like, you know, there's a fire burning, that's CO2.
Yes.
Methane is like lighter fluid.
100%.
Like, it's just making it way worse.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, with the rise of technology around plastic alternatives, which is happening very rapidly, like there's a lot of people researching algae and you know, seaweed and all of these different, you know, biodegradable alternatives, we still need a place to put it.
Yes. Yeah, infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right? Like the waste management, you know, the way I think about this, I don't think you and I have talked about this yet, but I look at it like there's a really good gig right now for consumer packaged goods companies, right? The really big ones, and waste management companies, because neither one of them ever talk to each other, but they love each other, right? CPG companies get to produce an immense amount of waste, and the waste management companies get paid by taxpayers to clean it all up.
Yep.
Right. And all we're doing is it's just going to landfill or it's getting incinerated. You know, we've all seen the stats on recycling and all that crap, but the anaerobic thing is what we zeroed in on. And we're like, okay, so if you could keep food waste out of landfills, what's the impact of that? Right. And some cities have commercial compost infrastructure, and Lomi even works in those. Like, you could take what comes out of Lomi and drop it in your green bin, and then it'll just complete its cycle at your compost infrastructure. Or you could take what comes out of Lomi and send it to a landfill. And because it's already broken down so much, the methane impact is next to nil. Right. But the infrastructure thing, like the way we started to think about it was like 3 years ago, my idea at the time when I pitched this to our investors, I'm like, I want to build industrial compost facilities for bioplastics. And my problem with my pitch was every one of them would cost about $120 million.
Yeah.
So it seemed a little expensive to do it at global scale.
Yeah.
So we took the idea for Lomi actually from Tesla, where to solve the charging infrastructure problem, right? Elon and Tesla looked at the home and said, like, is there space in the home for the charging infrastructure? So we're looking at waste management and we're saying, okay, like trusting the big guys like waste management companies and big CPG to do this, there's no incentive for them to change what they're doing. They're making billions of dollars doing this, right?
Totally.
Why don't we just distribute it and then give people the power to choose how they decide what they do with their waste? That's the whole premise of this.
I love it. And like, I mean, who hasn't gotten a new plant in COVID? Like, come on. Like
I know. Do you watch the TikTok, like the plant lady? It's freaking
Oh
crazy.
yeah. I mean, everyone has gotten into plants, and so this seems like the very natural next step. Now
Right.
you can, you know, fertilize them yourself. And
Right.
and like I just think this is such an important move for, you know, technology, for personal responsibility around sustainability.
Yep.
And like, look how cute it is. Like, can we like really
Oh yeah.
see it? Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Hang on, hang on. Here. Look, this is the, like, that's a Lomi.
Wow, it's sexy.
Yeah, I know. Not,
I
I mean, for
love
a
it.
bucket, it's a pretty bucket.
It's, you know, it's got to be pretty. It's
Yes.
got to be pretty.
Yeah.
It's the ABCs. Always be cute.
Is that actually a thing?
Oh yeah.
Always be cute? That's a
Always
thing?
be cute.
Okay. This is why I talk to you, Emma. I don't know what the hell. I don't know how like culture works. Like this is like for everybody that's all. I text Emma when I'm like, "Is this a thing? Like, do people do this?" I can see people are like, "Yes, they're into the houseplant game." I know. Actually, I might be the only person that did not acquire a houseplant during COVID. But I also live like, I mean, you know where I live. Like we're in interior British Columbia. I'm about as densely, like the people to nature ratio here is insane.
Yeah.
So more plants in my house doesn't do much. Like I have deer in my backyard on a regular Tuesday. So there's enough nature. What, I guess, when you think about, like, what do you think of, what's your position on biodegradables in general? So you think they have a place, right? Where do you see it fitting, like in priority? Like I suspect it's like refuse, you know, first, you don't need to buy things in general, anything. If you don't need to, don't buy it.
Yeah.
But like, what's the sequence for you? Where do you see all this stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the like refuse, reuse, repair, you know, fixing things when you can, and then reduce, figure out ways to use less.
Yep.
And then boom. I think that, I mean, compost, I think, is one of the biggest solutions towards global warming, towards plastic usage.
Totally.
And so, I mean, it's one of the more exciting topics in my mind beyond, you know.
That's why I was excited when that Kiss the Ground came out.
Yeah.
And they started talking about the value of dirt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
I went and saw their, they had like an expo. I went to like Planet Home, and they had this whole thing where you got to go in and learn all of this stuff about dirt. And I'm like, oh, now I'm obsessed with dirt. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's when I was explaining this to my brother, he's like, well, what does Lomi do? And I'm like, it's a magic dirt machine. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the goal, is to like, just make it easy. Like you said, the new kind of microwave. So like every house will have one. Right. But then how do you get the whole, like every human being on the planet contributing to the replenishment of soil? You know, because that actually, like, one Lomi, I don't know if we put this on the Indiegogo page that we've got, but I think one Lomi is the equivalent of planting like 2,600 trees a year.
Wow.
Like, it's insane, right? Like I think one Lomi would need 100 mature trees to capture as much carbon as like an average household would do. Every year,
wild.
By the way.
Talk about feeling accomplished. Like,
well, right now I feel
you get
good.
to give yourself all the
yeah.
pats on your back when you use it.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like, can you design the customer experience, like an experience around this thing where people actually feel good about it? You know, like what excites me is that this is now going to be a really fun way for me to talk about this subject with I've got a 5-year-old with my daughter, right? And she loves Lomi. She wanted to come to the office this weekend to see it working because she hadn't seen it work yet. but all she saw was like videos and pictures and stuff that I was showing. So like at 5 or 5.5, as she would very, very much like to clarify, she's excited about like what Lomi can do, because in her little kindergarten class right now, they're learning about like gardening. So they have a little community garden that they go to where, you know, they talk about soil and the kinds of plants and like what makes for nutritious, like they do all that stuff. So like what excites me about Lomi is that if you put this in the average family household, now you're getting a much younger generation really engaged in the right kind of conversation, right? Because like the topic of climate is scary as shit, man. You know, and it's big. Yeah. Like it's so big that like most people are just, you know, they like close their eyes and should plug their ears. It's
paralyzing.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you talk to your friends about climate? Like, are they all kind of like you, or is it like you've got a no, they're not. Okay. Yeah. Likewise. How does this go over with your peer group?
I mean, I think I've tried to soften in the way I talk about things. I used to, you know, when I first really got into this, I was like, oh my God, this is all so fucked. Like you're a bad person if you do this. And then I realized like, oh wait, like, okay, just like a year ago, I was, you know, using plastic and unconscious about these things. So, you know, it really is the education and awareness part is the most important. And then I think that the way a message is delivered makes people either defensive or, you know, want to jump into action.
Right. And
so I really just try and provide facts. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that still use plastic and they will try and like hide it around me. And then they'll like apologize to me when I see them with it. And I'm like, why are you apologizing to me? Like apologize to your kids. Apologize. That comment always gets them. Because they're like, oh, burn. Like,
yeah, it's very true. It's tough, you know, like I come from a small Northern Ontario town called Sudbury. And I would say there's a good chunk of my friends that still think climate change is like totally fake.
Oof.
Yeah. Like, and then like they'll argue with me too. They'll be like, yeah, human beings have no impact on the planet. And I'm like, most of the time I'm just like, I can't actually respond to you. Well, right now, most of my friends though would say like, yes, there's some amount of impact that we have. And you know, you're better off doing what you can than doing nothing.
100%. And you know, for those people, I do try and boil it down to like having a conversation with and you not using big words and just like the way I would explain it to a kid. And my general like you know, remark when someone is like questioning climate change, I say, okay, have you ever been standing out on a hot day and it's like hot out, but it's not that bad. And then you get in the car and it's like so hot. Okay, so why is the car way hotter than just what it's like outside? And it's because the glass is trapping in the heat. So if you can think of carbon dioxide as that same kind of structure, the carbon dioxide is the glass windshield of the car. And so by adding more and more to the environment, we're trapping more heat in.
Right.
And so, yes. And so by burning fossil fuels at the rate that we're doing, we're obviously creating a lot more carbon in the environment. And no one can deny that. Like, you can't say like, that's not true. We're not adding more carbon. And it's like, no, that's just a fact.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
The next fact is that carbon traps heat. And the third fact is that a hot car is hotter on the inside than on the outside. So, you know, if you want to get in a fight with me about that, great. I'll go to bat. But when you really boil it down and just kind of talk about facts, and that's why I love the plastic pollution and the compost angle, because it's way less debatable. You can't be like, Humans didn't create this. It's like,
it's
no,
also
like,
tactile.
exactly.
Like what you just described, right? Like you took your food waste out this morning and it was gross, and your dog bit some, and that's even worse. Like it's so tactile. Like you can smell it, you can touch it.
Yeah.
And I think waste is like the gateway drug to bigger environmental change, because waste
100%.
is something we all experience every day and every week. And like, I think you and I have talked about this before. Like you don't get up in the morning and deal with carbon.
Right.
Right.
Well, what is even like, you know, what I struggle with this conversation and the way that, you know, people are talking about it is it's not visual, it's not tactile. And so it's like, you know, if you plant a tree, you reduce, you know, your carbon footprint by, you know, 12 tons or whatever. I'm just making up a number, but it's like, is 12 tons a lot? Is that a little?
Right.
Is that enough to fit in a hot air balloon?
Yeah.
Like, what is 12 tons of carbon?
Right.
I don't
know. And how much is out there? Like, what is, you know, what's the total? And can you can't wrap your head around it. Like, I have a hard time with it, to be completely like frank. The climate change, like the climate crisis and all of that, it does cause me some like mental like gymnastics. Like it is difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like trying to understand blockchain.
Right. Totally. That's it. I saw there was actually a Twitter conversation recently where there was like this big debate on Twitter about the climate impact of Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so we just took two subjects that nobody understands and we combined them. Like this is going to go nowhere good.
Now we all understand it. Yeah, you know, the crypto space is really interesting because it does have such a, you know, there's such a large demand for energy with all of the mining of the coins.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah.
And so, you know,
but conversely, crypto miners have such a financial incentive to use like solar power and wind
100%.
Because it's so costly for them.
Yeah.
So crypto, it's like I don't know if you know this, but like internet security. So the reason that we can shop online and do this and do all these things safely is because of porn. Did you know that?
I mean,
know my team is like
back to porn.
There's a few people that know this. So because that industry led so much innovation in cybersecurity, right? So I look at crypto right now and I'm like, it's kind of the same thing. Like they're getting a bad rap, particularly Bitcoin, not crypto, but like for how much power they consume. But then part of me is thinking like, what innovation is going to come out of their financial incentive to make it cheaper and more efficient? It's a backwards way of thinking of it, but like, I kind of think it's good.
It makes perfect sense. This is how society changes. This is how social norms transform. And by, you know, creating these financial incentives. So like, you know, bringing it back to compost, what if we had to pay for our trash? What if we had to pay for the amount of trash, the weight that we put in? Boom, everyone would want a Lomi, you know? Totally. It's like, oh shit, I can save money. But like the problem with this is that we don't see the dollars that we're spending on trash. And so it's like, it's
comes
all
out of
like in
your
the
taxes, and it's like, it's so buried that you don't even see it. Yeah.
No,
and it is like it is. I think it's I mean, you're hitting on something that's like near and dear to me, but it's what's the better path? Is it incentives or taxing, right? Like, is it a negative incentive or a positive incentive? And then which one of those gets the behavior that you're really looking for?
I mean, it's taxes. I mean, well, they've done a bunch of studies around loss aversion, and people are much more resistant to losing something. So like having to pay a tax versus getting a benefit. So unfortunately, that's just the way our brains are wired. You know, according to these studies, and you know, a lot of studies get proven wrong, but I've been dabbling in the crypto space a bit, and it's like
Yeah.
the idea of a gain versus the idea of a loss, like the loss motivates way more behavior.
It totally does. Yeah. There's a lot of like behavioral psychology on this. I think the trick though with tax, with a negative incentive, is it only gets you so far. So it's kind of I equate it to like the diet pill versus the vitamin argument.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you were to, I've just been told we've got 5 minutes. So if you were to like, diet pills will work for a period of time, right? But vitamins will work long term, and they've also proven this. Like there's been a lot of really cool either campaigns or products that in history that will show you that like long term, if you create the right positive incentive structure, that will carry you further down the road than just the negative incentive.
Right, versus like a short-term gain.
Totally. And it's honestly, like Emma, the way I'm thinking about the marketing for Lomi, right, is we talk about it internally as it's a vitamin disguised as a diet pill, right? Yeah. So Lomi takes care of your daily food waste, and that's the diet pill. It's disgusting. Nobody likes food waste, and if you could turn that into dirt that can be used in your garden or disposed of nicely, and there's no smell and it's easy, that's a diet pill. The vitamin is long-term waste management and carbon impact, right? So whereas if that was what I was selling to people, like, well, yeah, in 10 years your Lomi will do immense carbon sequestration, people don't really get that today, right? And none of us do. Like I wouldn't either. Like we are all wired the same way, right? So it's kind of for companies like ours, we're always trying to find this balance of, how much of like today, incentives do you create versus like positive or negative versus like, what's the long-term goals of these? I think it's super interesting. I actually just got told we crossed $2 million in the campaign.
Amazing. When did it go live? This morning?
Like 3 hours ago, like 3.5 hours ago. Yeah, it's nuts. I left my house this morning to drive to work, and my drive to work, and for everybody, I drive an electric car, so I'm not like an evil person. I try where I can. So I left my house, and it takes me about 18 minutes to get to work. And in 18 minutes, I think we sold out of all the early bird tiers. Yeah, it's been insane. Way beyond what we were expecting. I think our community is awesome. So anybody who's in our community that's like watching this, thank you. So Emma, any like last things, like anything that you've got going on Earth Day or the next few days that you want to drop just a note to before I jump off and Sarah's going to come on and we're going to do some Q&A.
Awesome. Yes. So first off, I think just, on Earth Day, go out, get your feet in the soil, get dirty a little bit, and just take some moments to appreciate the Earth.
Right.
It's one beautiful planet we have. It's really special. And I think just to take a little time and silence and appreciation is really important. That's kind of my big message around Earth Day.
Love it.
For the company plug, we're doing a BOGO sale right now. So
nice.
Get yourself a final straw or a spork or wipes or whatever to make your individual impact matter. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, so in summary, we're not going to Mars anytime soon. So take care of this planet.
That's, maybe
that's the one.
That's the thing. Yeah. We don't have, an immediate plan for that. So this is the one, and it sure is amazing. Like, like cuttlefish blow my mind. There's just so many creatures out there that are so cool and weird and special. And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah, get out and enjoy it. So Emma, thank you so much again. I'm sure you and I are going to chat
always a
soon.
pleasure.
Yeah, and everybody go check out Final Straw. I'm going to turn this over to Sarah, and I'm going to drop off. So give us a few minutes to like sort out. I don't actually know what to do with Instagram.
And hey,
that's the short
congrats
answer.
on
Yeah, thank you.
Really, really cool. Everyone who's listening, support this project. It's dope. I am a huge fan, and yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Hi,
Emma.
Sarah.
That's Sarah. I'm going to get out of here.
Okay, bye guys.
See ya.
Thanks.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Let's make sure. Can you hear me, everyone? Hearts. That's a good sign. Yes? Cool. Okay, hi. I'm Sarah, our brand community manager here at Pela. Maybe someone on my team can tune in and make sure they can actually hear me. That would be good. So as you know, going live, always fun little tech things. This is not a great mask. Awesome. So thanks so much for joining us, you guys. I'm just going to give Matt a little break because, as you know, he's going to be on here for 4 whole hours, and that's not fun. Okay, so I just want to give you up close and personal. So our CX team, our customer service team, is in the chat right now as Get Lomi. So here to answer all your questions. They're going to be super focused on the comments right now for the next 15 minutes until we have our next guest speaker with Matt, who is Derek, the founder of Tentree. Awesome. And then, so this is Pela, or this is Lomi by Pela. This is one of our working prototypes. So as Matt showed, this is actually what the product is going to look like. But we are running our live compost in this guy. We kind of treat him like our little robot. And it's pretty fun to have around. Okay, I'm going to take you for a little tour around our headquarters while our CX are in the comments answering questions. So first of all, where I am right now, I am in, there's kind of some behind the scenes that way, so I won't flip the screen, but I am in kind of like our games room, which is a cool feature that we have at our HQ. Of course, like a lot of other people, we've been predominantly working from home, but we have, where we're located, the option to come in to our headquarters, which is great. So practicing all the safe protocols, of course. I'll show you some of our artist collection cases that recently launched. So I hear everybody's loving this one specifically. So this is Pink Peaks by Kika McFarlane. And yes, I love it too. Also really love Kika. I've had the pleasure of working with each of our artists, and she, along with all the others, is such a delight. So These are part of our Earth Month collection, all designed by Kika McFarlane. These are some from Pearly Blooms, Perla Sanchez. So Cactus Head and Under the Moon. And then, I know this one's also been getting a lot of hype, but one of our in-house artists, Alejandra, designed this beautiful vintage floral clear case that, let me hold it up. You kind of see that? It's beautiful. And you can see the little Pela logo at the bottom. So these are some cases that we're super excited about right now. Let me flip back here. Hi. I also just want to introduce you to my dog, Canoe. So this is Canoe, somewhat of a mascot around here, along with all of the other pups that we are blessed to have a dog-friendly office at Pela. Yes, lucky us, hey? Now I'm going to go around and introduce you to some of the members of our team while I show you a little bit more of our headquarters. So, starting here, tell us who you are, what you do.
My name's Rachel. I am on Sarah's team, actually, and I am our social media coordinator. I also help run our ambassador program. So if you're a Pela wave maker, you'll definitely be in touch with me. And if you're not yet and you want to make a change, apply to our ambassador program. The link's on our website. If you search like Pela ambassador on Google, it'll come right up. Yeah.
I'll flip around. Rachel does a billion more things than that, but yeah, to sum it up, that was a great summary. Awesome, yeah, and then you got to meet earlier, but I will take you through our little material scientist team. So you got to meet Cassidy earlier. And Danvier. We're all hanging out behind the scenes at the Lomi Live. Now I'm going to take you to another room. Canoe always likes to follow me. How we doing for audio, guys? Can everyone still hear me? Awesome. Okay, so we've got this great, beautiful, so this is a fun spot where, you know, in between meetings, you can just come and sit and chill. Very lucky to have like cool, unique spaces like this that definitely encourage us to live a sustainable lifestyle. We've also got a lot of natural light, as you can see. We're in a building called the Innovation Center, which has a lot of cool companies. This is when you walk into the Pela HQ, one of the first things you see, and it's just a great, you know, motivator to get us started for our day. Okay. So we've actually got a lot of our Pela cases laid out here. This used to be a spot where people could actually come and purchase some Pela cases. So we had a bit of like a setup here. But this is, without disrupting people too much, and there goes Canoe getting super rambunctious, but this is where the majority of our team works here in Kelowna. So we've got a nice open air desk space for everyone. Nice sit-stand desks, which is super nice. And then just fun things too, like our team does what we call island time on Fridays. So once we're all able to be together again, we can utilize things like this guitar and our beer kegerator, that's what it's called, and like arcade and things like that. So this is our kitchen space where we're able to gather for lunches once we're allowed. And then just a little glimpse into where Pela's headquartered. This is the Okanagan Lake. in Kelowna, British Columbia. So we're super lucky to be surrounded by lake, water, and mountains, and have the outdoors right outside our workspace, living space, all of that. I've got our founder Jeremy here if he's not busy. We'll turn the camera around.
Hey, Sarah.
So this is our founder Jeremy, who's actually visiting from Saskatchewan right now. Yeah, but we're gonna get to talk to you in a little bit.
We'll talk later,
so pretty exciting that our whole leadership team is very involved in our day-to-day. We actually have this really cool thing called huddle at 10 a.m. every morning. The whole team, like I'm talking all 60 people, get together for what we call huddle, and we talk about what we're working on today, where we can support each other, and it's just a great way to stay connected. Like everyone from our founder, CEO, our COO, etc., VP of finance, this, that. Everybody joins and we all talk about what we're doing for the day. And yeah, it just is like a great moment to connect and kind of see the bigger picture too of like how everybody's all contributing to our big goal of eliminating 1 billion pounds of waste, which is our big focus, especially always, but we're definitely highlighting it this Earth Month. Awesome. Oh yeah, I can see there is quite a lake, holy moly. Anyways, I'm in this room here where we set up for Matt. So if you don't already know how to get Lomi, go to meetlomi.com and you'll be redirected to our Indiegogo page. And hopefully you can get in on early bird pricing, but it's going really fast. So do it now if you haven't already. We are really excited how excited everybody else is alongside us for this launch, because I think it's been mentioned before, but our team has been working on Lomi for years now. So it's a very exciting day at the Pela headquarters that this is officially out to the world. Everybody's able to start purchasing it, and we're really working towards making our world a better place through it. So very exciting. I'm going to show Lomi again. So like I said, this is one of our working prototypes. I would open it up, but I'm told that that will mess up the cycle. Kind of similar to, at least this is how I think of it, as like a dishwasher, although it's actually much, much quieter. But yeah, you don't want to screw up the cycle. It's doing its thing. And like I said before too, this is how it's going to look, roughly, I think, what the actual one will look like. And it's great. As you can see, it fits nicely in, because it's white and sleek. It's going to fit in most styles of kitchens and stuff too. So, yeah. Mishi, I want to work at Pela. I know, right? Don't we all? We're very blessed to work at Pela. A lot of cool things going on. Our team's actually going to be doing, our team locally here in Kelowna is going to be doing a beach cleanup on Earth Day. So Rachel's going to be taking you guys behind the scenes on that beach cleanup on April 22nd. So make sure you tune in again then and check it out. And show us your beach cleanups. Like, get out there, show us what you're doing for Earth Day. If everybody wants to throw in the comments too, where you're from, I'd love to see where everybody's joining from and how you're celebrating Earth Week. We've got a lot going on, as you know. Lomi launched today. Like Matt said, we just hit 2 million, which is unreal, you guys. Like, thank you so much for your support. Like, we're so excited that you are right behind us on like everything we're doing, because we can't save the world without all of you. So you're awesome. Okay, we've got Tentree joining in a few minutes. Wow. Wow, it's really lagging. Great. Yeah, so as you can see, our customer service is in the comments asking, people are asking if we're hiring. People want to work at Pela, so that's awesome. Hey guys, who knows? If Lomi really takes off like this, we might have to be hiring. Awesome. Cool. Oh, you guys, beautiful. Wow, awesome. What's the kegerator stocked with? Great, great question. So we are, another great thing, we're super lucky. Gosh, everyone just has to come visit us in Kelowna. So we have so many cool local breweries. So right now, I think we've got, shout out to Vice and Virtue in Kelowna. We've got their Love Potion, and then also their IPA. Thanks, Danveer. Danveer's been hitting up the kegerator, so he's helping me. Yeah, so we've got some cool beers in there. And then, yeah, I think that was a Christmas gift from our leadership team, which is so sweet. And then we hit a birthday and we did the guitar. So just always showing us what lifestyle we want to be living. Okay. We also, too, just the floor above us is actually a rooftop patio that's for use by all of the tenants here, available for use by all of the tenants here in the Innovation Center. So again, in normal times, we are able to go up there and have lunch or, you know, have a drink after work, or I think the Wi-Fi actually reaches up there. So we can even like work up there and get some vitamin D while we're working and overlook the city and the lake. So really cool spot here. And if you're wondering why I didn't hit up our studio, I intentionally didn't do that because I'm going to be heading there the next time we do this little Q&A at noon, and go behind the scenes on a TikTok video. So you can see a little TikTok video in the making. That might include a little bit more of this guy, too. Okay, awesome. So I believe Derek from Tentree, who is the founder of Tentree, is going to be joining any minute now. So make sure you start. I think there's a bit of a lag, so start getting your questions in for Derek and Matt. Hopefully they'll be able to answer as much as possible, but you have them for a whole half hour, which is sweet. And then after that, we have True Earth. And then our founder, Jeremy, is going to be coming on as well, which is super cool. Very excited about. And then we've got Stojo, Wolven, and then Danveer, our material scientist. So you guys, this is such an action-packed live, lots to tune in for. So excited to have you along.
We're going to move it like
Okay.
on a tripod.
Awesome.
And get that up, and then we'll let Derek in.
Yep.
Just don't want to stand here. So like,
Okay. So as our team kind of Jimmy rigs a little location to make sure you guys can see Lomi a little bit better, I'm just going to walk you through the last few questions. Awesome, awesome. So many Lomi questions. You guys are awesome. So unfortunately, I don't know the answer to every single one of those, but our CX is in the comments, which is great. And then also we are going to be having, like I said, our founder and our material scientist, Danveer, come on a little bit later, who were a huge part in the creation of Lomi and know it like the back of their hand. So I will let them answer those questions. Great. We've got Tentree coming in. and I will get out of here. Thank you guys so much for coming with on the tour of our headquarters.
Do we got him?
Comment, waiting.
Dude.
Hey, Matt.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's a good day. It's a good day. We're happy. It's been a huge launch, man. So I guess I had Emma from Final Straw on earlier, and I'm sure you know, but like we're just having a whole bunch of cool people on, and you and I haven't chatted in a while. So
I know, yeah, it's been a minute. It's since early in, like I can think earlier last year. We haven't caught up in a while.
I know. There was a thing happening, right, in the last 12 months. I think there was something globally that like stopped travel. You know, and so for everybody on live, Derek you're one of the founders of Tentree.
Right.
You're currently, we had moved Pela to Kelowna, and Derek and Tentree are in Vancouver. We've kind of reconnected, and oddly enough, Derek is only about a 3-hour drive from us right now, and I still haven't seen this guy in a while. So, dude, it's awesome to actually like see your face, because all we do is talk over text.
I know.
What, like, tell, kind of give everybody who is from the Pela audience, I'm sure they know who you guys are, but like, give us the 2-minute on who Tentree is, you know, what do you guys do, and then you and I can jam a bit.
Yeah, happy to. Well, you know, so we're Tentree. We are poverty alleviation, that sort of thing. And, you know, we've created technology to support the restoration efforts as well. And we try to make the most sustainable, you know, footprint product that we possibly can.
There's so much there, man. Like, okay, how much time do we have? Because like, there's a lot that we can unpack.
Yeah, no, we
got what, like 30
well,
minutes?
yeah, we can
half an
for
hour.
a while.
Okay, so let's start with, okay, so your first statement is you're a tree planting company that happens to make apparel. Can you tell everybody like I don't want to, like, not this, like the origin story, because I think a lot of people have heard that. Talk to them about like where you're at now.
In that it's kind of a fallible spot for us to put ourselves in, and that we're committing to people that, you know, we're not just donating this or that, like we're actually committing to trees being planted. So I think, you know, my background was in tree planting. My background was basically in sort of planting trees, carbon offsetting, that sort of realm. So we understood tree planting at a pretty granular level. And basically the idea for Tentree was to be the vehicle that allowed us to plant trees. And, you know, over the last kind of 10 years almost, we've partnered with all the top reforestation organizations across the globe. You know, whether that be sort of groups that are, you know, problem, and I'm sure you've kind of come across it in the restoration space, or even the international development space, where, you know, I can only sell a t-shirt once, but theoretically I can sell a tree being planted as many times as I want. You know, if you're not going to go there and sort of carve your name.
If you're not going to do it. Yeah.
Yourself. And so, you know, what we've done is not just on the apparel side trying to continue to build that business and push that forward, but we've also worked really hard to actually create this ecosystem of verification and auditing around the restoration work that we're doing through a platform that we actually built and are rolling out all across the globe right now, which gets stitched together and basically held, and it digitizes each tree so that no matter where that tree gets allocated, one, it can't be double allocated, but two, as the person that's purchasing that tree, you actually get visibility into the on-the-ground work that's being done, and then you can monitor and track it through things like satellite imagery and different stuff like that to make sure that the work you're doing, you know, today survives for the next 5, 7, 10 years, sort of thing.
Huh? And is it? I mean, when you, as the CEO of this company, then like, how much time do you, like, is your time spent on like running the company versus, you know, thinking about those efforts? Like, how do you like?
You know, like for me, it's like we started the business to plant trees, and the product side of it has grown such to such an incredible size that like something that we never could have hoped for. And I think what we've come to recognize is that there's actually this really powerful opportunity behind pushing forward that industry, the same as the tree planting side of things. So for us, you know, it's as much about like creating this product, this vehicle, and building that business, but really running it like a business, because if it's not profitable, if it's not, you know, it's what allows lifting the entire sort of global conversation on tree planting because of what we were creating at Tentree. So I think, you know, honestly, it's the short answer to your question is not well, but the long answer is that I think it's, you know, it's about the long game, and, you know, we're in it for the restoration and the tree planting side of things. That's what we're trying to push forward. You guys are in it for the zero waste and really trying to push that conversation forward. And each sort of like company or step that we add in this conversation is getting us a bit further along that journey.
Yeah, you're so right, man. It's, you know, you hit on a importantly trying to like build a better model. Like, I do believe that fundamentally that business as a structure for doing good in the world is incredibly efficient, right? And it's fast. Yeah. Anybody who's ever worked with not-for-profits, and like, God bless them for the work they do, they are like mired in red tape compared to what like any free enterprise can do. And like, that's why we chose to like build a company as opposed to, you know, running Pela as a not-for-profit. You know, like we wouldn't be able to make it's like, it's a combined effort, right? Like, it's not a, you know, we're not going to solve the world's problems by just planting trees, right? Yeah. And Pela is not going to solve the world's problems by just thinking about waste, right? There's like 100 things that need to happen over the long term to actually get, you know, to like leave the campsite better than we found it. And I think that is really important, what you just highlighted. And I think like it's too easy for all of us to get caught up in our own worlds, and we miss, you know, well, it's a good thing.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of like, how can we transition the conversation on capitalism from, you know, what has historically been very extractive sort of to actually creating, you know, this sort of restorative
additive and restorative.
It's just transitioning the conversation to actually using it, because I think you're right. What you said is so important, which is like, it's the system that around building a business that can accelerate some of these things a lot faster than, you know, even has a lot of red tape around it or hair on it. So for us, I think like, you know, that the world's coming around to this idea that businesses, when built the right way, when built with the right sort of long-term perspective, can actually have a meaningful impact. And then you said it right, which is like, then it's about collaboration and partnership too. It's not just about, you know, us against them. It's you know, we're not necessarily trying to grow the pie of what people are buying. We're trying to sort of
consumerism, because like, that's not good, right? So there is this, like, I think it's a totally new generation of entrepreneur that are like you, that are kind of looking at it sideways, right? Saying like, okay, I like the vehicle that is business, but it's what do we do with it? How do you do this a little differently than the generations before us, right? I saw somebody ask in the comments, how do you guys think about the sustainability of the materials you use, right? And like, how do you, because that's, I mean, you and I, how do you guys view this? And like, where do you think apparel is going?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, the way we think about it, because when we started the business, we didn't really know much about apparel. We knew tree planting. And so it's been a journey. And I think our approach has been, you know, progress over perfection. Right. You know, we need to continue to push forward and make progress. But I think the approach was first, okay, we need to source our own materials and sort of establish an ethical and socially responsible supply chain. So we partnered with some amazing facilities. We traveled to all of them. We met the people that were doing the work, and we really ensured that we visit them constantly to make sure that the material perspective. And then I think the piece now that we're thinking about is also just how is that whole, what is the entire footprint of that supply chain,
right,
and offsetting the emissions that it creates, because ultimately we want to connect a consumer with the trees that are being planted, and ensuring that like whatever that vehicle is to get them there is as low impact as possible. And then the last thing that you mentioned is where's it going? And I think it's your guys' realm. It's circularity.
The circular economy is so difficult difficult for apparel.
And one of the things that we came to quickly recognize was like we felt like we had this incredible, and I think we do. Like I'm really proud of what the team has built. Mm-hmm. It's this, like, we call it a tree blend, and it's this really soft fabric that is made with Tencel, which is incredibly sustainable, ocean plastic, recycled polyester, and organic cotton. But the problem is like, to your point, it's a blend, and it takes to have all of our product entirely, serviced by an end-of-life solution.
Yeah, and so some kind of end-of-life, right? End-of-life is, I mean, for those that are hearing him, like, end-of-life, Derek knows this, but like, we spend a lot of time at Pela on end-of-life. And it's, for our goal is to make it as graceful as possible, right? So what you're talking about is like, how do you do this in the apparel industry? Right. And that, like, I believe it. I think that, when you say you're going to do it, dude, I know you, and a lot of people watching don't know you personally. I believe you. I think so when you look at the industry then that you're in, like, let's just say all apparel being the industry, what other companies do you look to for inspiration? Like, who's doing it well?
I think so we look at it from a few perspectives. Like, we often look outside of apparel too. When we think of, like, who's really doing interesting things. And what inspires us is a lot of groups that are like, well, Pela is a great example. Like, thinking about, like, you guys created a product that has allowed in the same vein as your existing product, but also it's more about the values and the mission rather than the specific product use case. So I think, like, for us, that's a great example of something that is, you guys are doing great things. And then, I think of other ones that are like, who are doing a great job of measuring and actually thinking about how they communicate their carbon footprint. And I think Allbirds is a great example of a brand that has really just done, Allbirds has done an incredible job of telling their story.
Oh, it's so simple, right? They've mastered the simplicity of the storytelling. Like, they communicate 1,000 words in like 6.
Exactly. And I think that really, to me, inspires me. And then the last one I think of, more so from a broader industry perspective, but I really look up to brands that are like Fitbit, that have taken, and nothing to do with the product, but more what they've been able to engage consumers in, which is, this idea of fitness and distilling it down into something simplistic and actually, like, 10,000 steps. Like, there's actually there's nothing to actually suggest that 10,000 steps means anything. Right. You know what? It's probably more steps than you normally take. Yeah. So it sounds like a
big number. So you're probably, it's aspirational.
It's exactly what we're thinking about. And I know you guys are in the same boat of, like, how do we do that same thing for the environment? How do we make it easier and more tangible to take those incremental steps as consumers, as individuals, to just live a little more sustainably too?
Right. So for you guys, like, it's the Tentree thing, right? And I think that, honestly, what you just said, we struggle with the, like, how do we get people to understand, like, or to be inspired by, forget understand, to be inspired by some kind of, like, daily impact, right? Yeah. So, I think how Fitbit did that, it is genius. I couldn't agree more. What I love with what you're saying too, I think, when I asked you the question about, like, what other brands you look for, often the response I get to that question is around, like, what brands inspire people. What you're actually talking about, and I think there's a lot of lesson in this, there's a bunch of lessons in this. You're talking about what strategically or tactically are these companies doing even if they're outside of our industries, that we can
Mm-hmm.
bring into like the mission or the cause.
Yeah.
Right. And I admire, I think that's really, really smart, man. Like, where did you, like, who taught you that? Right. Or is that just like inherent? You figured that out along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's surrounding myself with people that are a lot smarter than me, and me just regurgitating their ideas is probably what ends up happening. You know, I think it's been, you know, there's just so much white space in this area, and there's so much change that's going to happen. I think, like, you look at what we were just talking about earlier about sort of capitalism as a whole and this transition that's happening as consumers. Like, I really think that this is going to be one of the most, this next 30 years as we transition to sort of net zero and all these sorts of things, it's going to be one of the most disruptive things to capitalism that's ever taken place. And at the same time, it's going to be one of the biggest opportunities to create really incredible things. And so I think, you know, if we're myopic with and sort of short-sighted with just looking within apparel or just looking within, you know, phone cases, you're going to miss out on the opportunities where we're trying to push, which, you know, I think if you think about it, it's more about the values. And for us, it's very much about restoration and tree planting and biodiversity. And you guys are very much sort of zero waste. And, you know, we have different perspectives, but we have such like different insights that when shared, we can accelerate all of these things. And the reality is that we don't have enough. There's a supply demand issue. There's so much demand for this change right now, and there's not enough supply of good ideas. And
I think that's super important, man. And there's also, like, I think we need even more entrepreneurs and creatives to start to actually to do the creative work to solve the demand challenge, right? Like, when I look at like our peer group, right? Like our friend group, and like all of the, like, I had Emma from Final On, and I think after this I'm gonna have Ryan from True Earth. I can almost name them all off, like the companies that are all kind of working towards some part of the problem. And if what scares me is I can almost name them all off.
Yeah, well, that's
right. Like, it's a small list,
yeah.
You know, and I know there's more. And that to me says there's two problems, right? Like, number one, those companies aren't getting a lot of airtime. You know, they're not as well known as they should be. And then number two, it also tells me that, like, there's still too many entrepreneurs who have yet to, like, really dig in and solve a problem worth solving.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you're so right. Is that it's, you know, I think it's changing though. It's accelerating, and people are coming around to this, and you're seeing more and more people trying to facilitate these kind of conversations. And you know, it's sort of like you look at the companies that people are starting today, and it's kind of like if virtually all of them almost have to have some sort of mission behind it, it almost feels like it's table stakes to some extent.
Yeah. If you're not doing this in 5 years, are you going to be left behind?
Yeah. And
right.
So I think it's both good and important, but it's also so important then that, you know, entrepreneurs and that sort of thing have a vision of what they really want to be a part of in the solution. Because if it's just, hey, I want to contribute, like, I think you've got to be more tactical with it too. And you've got to have, because there are 1,000 issues, and everyone is going to have 1,000 companies and 1,000 opportunities to, you know, make change. And very few organizations are going to be able to sort of umbrella all these things and really, you know, change all of them. So having sort of a focus and being tactical about what problem you're really out there to solve is super important at this time, I think.
Yeah. And it's like, and how big is that problem, and how wide looking are you actually going? You know, you're talking about learning wide and kind of practicing within, you know, your niche, right? Like, we've only got a few minutes left. So what is going on with Tentree this month? So we're 2 days away from Earth Day. You know, Pela and Tentree, we did our collaboration last week. You've had a different kind of like partner every week. What's been the goal for Tentree for April? Like, what are you guys working towards this month?
I mean, I think for us, our approach to Earth Month, and I feel like it starts as Earth Day, then it becomes Earth Week, then it becomes Earth Month, and everybody is bombarded.
It's
by
like a good
every
Black
company
Friday
at this
kind of
time
thing.
trying to tell them about like, oh, look at all the sustainable stuff we're up to. And so it's kind of funny, but ultimately for us, I think what it is we have a big audience. We're fortunate, just like Pela is, to be able to share. Like, our audience obviously cares about the environment, and they believe in Tentree because of what we're up to. And so for us, it's one about sharing other groups that are doing really kick-ass things, and it's also about just sort of embracing this this sort of value of collaboration, because we had this idea, which was we called it Planet Partners, and the idea was like, one, let's introduce our audience to great brands doing great things. Two, let's find a way to like integrate our missions together and talk about the different areas that we're tackling, like the zero waste problem with Pela, some of these other organizations, like, you know, you talked about True Earth, like the sort of like home sort of like consumables, things like that. Like, these are all spaces that historically have had a ton of waste and a ton of like footprint. And so for us, it's like, how can we as a business use our audience to elevate others, and then vice versa, support each other on this journey? Because I think, you know, just like there's a lot of people that are trying to do a lot of good things, a lot of people are using this time to sort of, you know, make their draw their line, or almost like stake their claim to say like, hey, we actually are sustainable, when in reality it kind of is this kind of like greenwash. I think so. I saw somebody in comments be like, it's
somebody said like something about greenwashing. It's like, I know it's 100%. It's the challenge 100%. With this whole month is like, how much of it is actually good? You know, I struggle with how much do you promote your own company and your own product on Earth Day or during this month, given that the whole point was to raise awareness to like get outside, right? Like, and respect what we have. So I think you're right. Like, it is super tricky. The flip side to that, which is what I think you're saying, is if it's not for these companies, right? Like, and for more importantly, the community of people who support companies like ours, nothing is getting done. You know, like, you lived in that, you know, carbon credit, carbon sequestration world for a while, and you saw that like when governments are trying to solve this stuff, it is slow as molasses, man. Like, they're not making as much progress as I think the demand by people is asking for. So without businesses like Tentree, right, or Final, I don't know how much progress there is, because like, I really believe, and Emma and I were chatting about this, that, you know, consumers have so much power right now with like how they vote with their dollar and their wallet. And if they do that work, then other companies are going to take notice, and they actually, like, they're going to go from greenwashing to, holy shit, I actually need to be good at this, because people are starting to realize the difference between like they're full of crap and these guys are good, right? Like, that information is becoming, you know, more readily available. It's like one of the few benefits of social media.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's such a value that we believe in, is the power of the consumer and the power of individual, right? Like, when my brother and I started our tree planting company years back, the idea was to sort of piggyback on this government program. And it was about, and, you know, it's easy for companies to sort of wait till they're, you know, almost like told it has to happen if it's a government thing. Yeah. Whereas when consumers, like, you know, now brands are making more change than they ever would have. Yeah. Because the consumers are demanding it. And I think it's such a powerful, 100%. It's why community and, you know, everything that you're creating and we're creating is so important, that we sort of support each other on that journey too.
Absolutely. Well, dude, I'd love to keep talking, but I'm going to have to let Ryan in here, and, you know, Ryan's another friend, so I don't want to let him sit around and wait.
Ryan's a great man. Sure. Well, I'm sure. Yeah. Hopefully, he's more entertaining than I am. We'll need to continue the conversation again.
Yeah, look, entertaining isn't the problem. We're doing a 4-hour live on Instagram, literally watching Lomi compost, which is about as exciting as paint drying. So, you know, the bar for entertainment today is pretty low. So dude, I'll shoot you a message and we'll connect soon, man. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it, Derek.
thanks, Matt.
Take care, man.
Appreciate
What do we want to, can you like, I don't think I see Ryan in there yet. Search, true. Everybody pardon the quick search here. I'm going to add true, which I think will be Ryan. While we're waiting for Ryan, there's been a bunch of questions on Lomi. So I'm just going to grab a few. Let me just look at the live stream. Okay, so I mean, the first one I'm seeing is how much noise will Lomi make? It's running right now in front of me, and I'll put my ear next to it, and you probably can't hear that much. It's a pretty quiet machine. So the idea with Lomi is it'll kind of work behaviorally in your life the same way the dishwasher will. When you're done cooking and chopping and all your food scraps, you simply put it in Lomi, and then you load your plates into your dishwasher. So that kind of daily behavior is what this is designed to fit into. So that means you're also running it most likely at night. So you start it, and the next day you'll actually have, usable dirt. So it's meant to, it'll make a little bit of noise, but not so much that you're ever going to hear it. Like your dishwasher will definitely make a lot more noise, especially mine in my house. I don't think he can get on it timed out. So we're going to get Ryan from True Earth in here. So just bear with us. How long have I been the CEO of Pela? That's a great question. I don't know. 4 years? Yeah, 4.5. So I met Jeremy. So the 3 business partners in Pela, Jeremy, Brad, and myself, we all met at an event in Napa, I want to say 6 years ago. About 6 years ago. I think it was 2015. And I started investing in Jeremy and in Pela about 1.5 years after that. And then, it sort of slowly progressed, and we realized just how big of a mission Pela had. So we added, I guess, voted and made me the CEO. I think that's how I got the job. I don't think it was glamorous at all. And I still have it. So I haven't been kicked to the curb yet. What's my favorite part about the company? The people are awesome. I'm sure you've seen some folks running around on this IG Live. I've got Sarah and Rachel here, and Kate's over there, and Milo and Cassidy. And there's a whole bunch of amazing people that work in this company. We've got an insane mission. We're trying to stop 1 billion pounds of plastic. So anytime you do that, you tend to attract really great quality people. So I love the people. I think having an awesome mission is one thing, and having a just cause as a business is great. But if you can't do it with great people that you're going to sit down with and have a beer, hence the keg, it's not worth it. What else we got here? Is Lomi plug-in or battery operated? So it is plugged in. I don't think that it would work if it was battery operated. Also, if you don't have to use batteries, why would you use them, right? Why put more lithium into something that doesn't need it? What can or can't go in Lomi? Well, I'm going to leave that one for Jeremy, who's going to be on in a little bit, because that's the material science and how the machine works. And I am not that smart. We're still trying to add.
My specific question is, how did you come up with the idea for your brand?
Oh, so Jeremy came up with the idea, right? Jeremy's the original founder of the company, and he kind of spent a lot of time toiling around with materials and trying to find something that would work the way that our phone case does, right? So what it's made of is very, very good material. It's high efficacy. The brand itself and how we built it was incredibly iterative. So, for the folks that are watching, this community that we have now that is really, really, really passionate about the cause and kind of what we do, and it's amazing, right? It's it's a very supportive community, especially the zero waste sort of I don't know, corner of the internet. People like Catherine Kellogg, who were early adopters of the product, and even worked with us for a long time. Like, those people were very critical to the development of like the Pela brand. I don't think it's something that you create. Like, we're not the ones that are making this. It's actually very much community made. And I think that's why companies like Pela or Final or True or Tentree, this is why they work so well, right? Is like, it's very community made. What is the cost of maintenance for Lomi? That's a great question. So if you know anything about Pela, you know that we have what's called the Pela 360 program. So unlike most companies, we actually want to take responsibility for every product that we put out in the world. So Lomi will have a place in Pela 360 where we will take back old units when they've run their course. Do you want me to message him?
We just messaged True Earth and our contact, but yeah, we can for it. Another question for you is, how do you think Pela can make a difference? It's a loaded question.
Oh, you're good.
Coming on.
Oh, good. Okay. I just texted him.
Okay, great.
We'll answer that one. Yo,
hey, I'm so sorry. Apparently, the Instagram version I have on my phone did
not.
You're
like me. Yeah, it was like 4 versions too late or too early.
Yeah, I've done it before too, and it's worked in the past. But
I couldn't log on to Instagram last night, man. So, I get it. Like, I couldn't get good. I had them reset the password because I actually couldn't get into our own damn Instagram account. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm here now. Also, my for whatever reasons, the Wi-Fi in my office isn't working, so I came across the office to another office, but I don't think it's quite as well lit. So
it's actually not too bad. Oh no, dude, you look like Ryan. So for everybody, dude, you're number 3. I just actually got off with Derek from Tentree.
Oh,
and
nice.
Before that, I had Emma on with Final Straw, and then your lovely face, because you and I haven't chatted in a while either. So for everybody that is kind of tuning in now or is seeing Ryan here, Ryan. Actually, I'll let you, why don't you explain your role and what True does? Just give everybody the 30-second, here's who we are.
Yeah. So I'm one of the co-founders of True Earth. We have a patented, it's a little bit bent, patented laundry detergent strip that effectively replaces liquid laundry detergent. These strips are 1.7 grams compared to 40 grams of for your regular liquid or powdered laundry detergent. So it's about a 94. It's like a 94% reduction in weight, which equates to a lot of transportation related carbon footprint reduction. And then our packaging is made of a cardboard sleeve, which also doubles as a mailer. So we're helping keep, there's about 1 billion bottles of laundry detergent. Thanks, Katie3. 1 billion bottles of laundry detergent that are purchased in North America every year, and less than 30% of those can be recycled. So we're helping, so there's about 700 million plastic laundry jugs per year that end up in landfills, and we haven't replaced all of them as of yet, but we're over 3.6 million jugs of laundry that we kept out of landfills
over
the last 2 years.
That is awesome. So, and what's your role with the company? So you're one of the 4 guys that started it, right?
Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders, but my title is I'm the chief marketing officer. So
right on.
If you see ads in the wild, that's they might have somehow originated from.
They probably did. Ryan is one of the few people I talk to frequently because we're both marketers by trade. I don't even know if that's a trade. We sell things on the internet. That's what we do. Luckily, we're actually selling something that's not awful. But that's great, man. So tell me, what's April been like for you guys? Do you run kind of a big thing all April, or do you guys wait until Earth Day, Earth Week, and then you kind of start promoting and trying to get people rallied around? Because I know you guys are super active on all things social and Facebook and Instagram and everything.
Yeah, I see somebody from our company leaving a comment.
Yeah.
Mac. But we're there's an International Laundry Day that was a couple of days ago.
That's a thing.
That's a thing, man.
Why am I not surprised? There's an International Laundry Day.
There's a day for everything, right?
There's a day for everything.
Yeah. No, we're ramping up. We're doing we've got a lot of stuff happening kind of in the Earth Week week. We're launching our Earth Day promo officially to public on the 22nd on actual Earth Day.
Nice.
And what's cool about that too is we're actually launching our first physical retail location at our headquarters in Port Moody, British Columbia.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that we're doing is we've teamed up with the Salish Sea. It's an organization that originally they were going to have a spot in the port here where kids could come down, like students could come down and experience all sorts of wildlife and how to protect it and take care of it. But obviously there's COVID. So so they're basically making kits and they're giving them to classes, and classes can basically do this like Zoom thing live and kind of like experience all the cool things that they'd see in person down here. So we're giving 50% of our entire till to that organization during the launch week. So we're awesome. That's pretty exciting, man.
Yeah. Now, are you guys planning on is more like retail locations? Is that a plan for you, or is this kind of like, no, we just want to do this locally because this is our home?
I mean, there's like a grassroots movement, obviously locally here. We want to, we have the location. That was kind of our intention when we originally got it, but obviously, again, COVID. But so we're seeing how it goes, and one of the cool things that we're doing too with it is we're going to be curating products from smaller local companies here that are trying to kind of do their thing. Like our whole MO is small changes when added up equal big impact.
Yep.
And so you don't have to be a massive corporation to be able to make a difference. And we're trying to support those people locally here that are trying to do the same thing.
Dude, we've been talking about that for the last, I guess, couple hours that we've been live. It's like Emma and I were chatting about it. Derek and I were chatting about it. Like, it's amazing at how much little things add up, right?
Totally.
I call it like compound interest impact. Like, it's if you know anything about like compound interest, like if you took $1 and you increase its value by like 8% per year, in a decade, it's doubled, right? And then in a decade after that, it doubled again. So it went from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. So like when we think about, like you sell laundry strips, I have a ton of them at my house. Like, I love the product. It doesn't seem like a lot. Like every one of them doesn't seem like a lot, especially yours, because they're teeny tiny little pieces of paper. But if you were to like add it up over a decade or 2 decades, it gets pretty impactful pretty quickly. The opposite of that is also true. Like you rattled off a bunch of stats on like how many laundry jugs go to landfill every year. Think about this for a second. Like, it's been happening for as long as we've been, using laundry jugs. Like, that's, I don't know. Do you know when was the first laundry detergent made? Do you know that?
I actually don't know that stat.
I want to know that. We should Google that.
Yeah.
I'm super curious because, like, how long have we been like in this behavior of I buy laundry detergent in a jug at a grocery store? Like, I remember it as a kid. I'm 40 next month, so it's been at least 40 years.
Jealous. I'm jealous. You're still in the 18th hole.
I know. Yeah. We're getting old, man. It's part of life. Okay, so you guys have your big thing is happening on Earth Day. So you talked about schools. When you guys are looking at like, I guess, give back and programs for True, do you have like a priority list? Like, here's where we want to do the most work with schools, or is it other organizations? Because I know you guys did some stuff during COVID too, right? With hospitals or healthcare workers. Like, what? Yeah. How do you pick this stuff?
So I mean, we have teams for it now. Like we don't, for every subscription that somebody purchases now, we're donating 32 loads on their behalf, and we actually have a role. A girl named Kate, she's the one that runs it, and basically her full time she's just finding people to help. And you know, we're giving to women's shelters. We just gave 5,000 packages to frontline workers, like specifically nurses and doctors,
cool.
just this last week. But like, you know, like what's really crazy is, so I take my kids to school like once a week. I just want to like kind of try to be involved as much as I can, and I'm obviously here quite a bit. But there's a gentleman there, and he's a pastor. And he's got like this church that is at a gym, actually the high school that I went to. And he came up to me and he's like, Ryan, he's like, I just want to thank you. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you. And he's like, I'm Troy. And he's like, seriously though, he's like, you guys donated a bunch of laundry detergent to our church. And there's a lady who doesn't have to worry about where she's going to get laundry detergent today, or the money she's going to need to buy laundry detergent to wash her clothes, so that she can go out and look for a job, and that her kids don't have to go to school in stinky, dirty clothes. And like, man, I was like almost like, it was like making me tear up. And he's like, seriously, you don't think it's a big deal? But to somebody who is huge. Down and out, like, and like, or like another, like, it's a big deal. I'm like, or like, we donate a ton to like food banks. And food banks have really limited space because food takes up a lot of space, and laundry is like huge. So they typically can't carry laundry detergent because they're limited. Like they just can't. There's not enough room for it. So when we can give them stuff,
massive, right?
Yeah. So like this, you can fit like almost 700 loads in the same space as 32 loads of liquid detergent. It means that food banks can keep our product on hand, and people who are needing to find a job, you know, stinky, like dirty clothes is like a real problem when you're trying to find a job, you know?
Yeah, totally. Oh, dude, anything. Like think about kids in school, right? Like the emotional, psychological effect of that is not to be underestimated. It's significant. It's you know what you're making me think of? It's you know, like we get, I mean, you and I have chatted about this, like we get super focused and like almost bubble-like in our obsession over like our own business and our own, like our own cause. Like it's all about plastic and like, this is what we're up to. But we often fail to realize like there's so many of these intersections between, you know, what I will call like an environmental issue and then a inequality issue, right? Or an environmental issue and a like, you know, a social one, right? Or like, or even amongst like, I mean, geez, like racial inequality, and like certain neighborhoods and certain zip codes are impacted more by climate change or anything environmental than others. Like it's such a ball of twine, like yarn twine, like it's so complicated, right? That you don't actually realize how how it's all intertwined until you start digging in, or until you have some random dude who comes up and says like, you may not realize it, but like, here's how your product or your cause impacted this one person's life, right? Yeah. Like those intersections, like we live it every day, and I'm still trying to figure them out. Like it hurts the brain. So tell me a little bit. So you guys have been around how long? Like it's been what, a year, 2 years?
So we went live April 2nd, 2019. So right. 2 years, 2 years and like 20 days or 15 days or something like that.
Unreal, man. And then how many crazy, people now are at True? Like give us a rundown. Like you guys have grown like a freaking weed.
Yeah, so we've had over 300,000, or we have more than 300,000 customers now, direct to consumer.
Amazing.
But like we're over 220 employees working here now, wow. Which is insane. We've kept 3.6 million laundry jugs out of landfills, and I think we donated more than 5 million loads of laundry to those in need, and we just started that initiative a year ago. So I mean, we're just getting started. You know, it sounds great and everything. Like
yeah, but you're still at day zero.
Yeah, we're just getting started, and we got about 130,000 people actively subscribed to using our product. But it's, you know, it's not. We're trying to move more and more needles forward, and like I know you were just talking to Derek a few minutes ago. Yeah. We're doing some stuff with Tentree the end of Earth Month for our
You're part of that. We did it last week, right? So you're part of their Earth Partners. Every week you're doing a different partner. Yeah.
So we're going to try and plant like we're going to plant bare minimum 250,000 trees.
Nice, man.
And we're going to plant one for every product sold during that week. So it's just, I know there's you want to have one or two things that you really work towards, but
sure,
like, it's so hard to not like participate in anything that we can get our. I don't want to make it sound like it's like self-serving, but if you can have impact and there's opportunity, we want to be there.
Yeah. So if compare this to like your past life, right? So like, how much do you actually? Because Derek and I were chatting about this. Like, how do you get more people to start businesses that actually solve real problems? So, what's it like now versus what you used to do? Like when you get up in the morning, how does it feel running True versus whatever you did before? I don't even remember what you did before, but just tell people like.
Yeah, I mean, dude. Okay, here's what's crazy. So everybody who is an entrepreneur at some point in their life gets overwhelmed. They get burnt out. They get exhausted, and you get to this point where you're juggling too many balls, more balls than you can handle.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it because you just want to make an income, you get to a point where there's almost like, I don't want to say like mental health challenges, but you're just kind of like, why am I doing this? What is this all for? Why am I stressing myself out so much? Why am I putting myself through this? And it gets really easy to kind of like, there's a reason why a lot of people stop being entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of it is because it's just about the money. But when it's not just about the money and it's about impact and changing the world, potentially helping change the world for the future and inspiring people to live a better, healthier life that's more sustainable. Like when you get overwhelmed and you get stressed out, you're not like, what am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? Because you know that you're not just doing this to make money. You're doing this to create a better world for the future. And
sure.
It's a lot harder to quit on the world than it is to quit on money.
Dude, that is like, I like that. That's like the most profound thing you've ever said to me. I mean, you and I mostly just bullshit most days. How do you talk to? Okay, so then you've got 3 kids, right? So how do you talk to your kids about this stuff? So like, it's Earth Month, Earth Day's coming. They obviously know something about what you do, right? Like my daughter knows a weird amount about what I do. How do you talk to your kids about this? Like, is this an active conversation for you?
It's not actually, I wouldn't say it's an active conversation. They know all about True Earth. They know what it is and everything. Sure. But, instead of like, they're kind of too young to really appreciate, or at least I think to appreciate like me lecturing them on the particulars. So I think for me and my kids are, for people that are listening, are like just almost 2, 5 and almost 7. So it's like, I feel like it's a better use of my time to lead by example, demonstrate like, we don't buy plastic water bottles. Yep. I don't hate on people when I see them drinking plastic water bottles. But like
people are doing the best they can, right?
Yeah, and there's times where you need a plastic water bottle, you're going to dehydrate and die. I mean, you know what? It's not about being perfect. It's about being better and being consistently better and making better choices that aren't supporting things that are negatively impacting society. So for me, it's more about like, okay, how do I show my kids how to lead by example? Like, you don't throw garbage on the ground. If you see some garbage, you pick it up. Like we're gonna avoid plastic water bottles. Like I just got a Soda Stream. Like this is like, I just moved. And it's kind of funny. It was my. I wanted a Soda Stream for a long time, and I love carbonated water. And my mom came over the other day to drop off a gift, and I'm like, oh, I want to get a Soda Stream in the kitchen, and I opened the gift, and lo and behold, it's a Soda Stream, and sure, it's made of plastic, but it's not single-use plastic, and it's something that I am going to use so much. And I'm not going to be buying bottles of water, or ever buying bottles of water. Like if I have people over, we have nice carbonated water on demand. Like it's it's just those small changes add up to big impact over time.
Yeah, I think somebody just said it's hard to have conversations with people about climate. It's so true. And I think that the reason it's hard, I can't really read the name who said this, but the reason it's hard is I think there's this general sense that if you're not doing the exact thing that is important to the other person, there's like this social stigma, right? So like nobody is perfect. I mean, there might be some people who are extreme in how they live, and like they live very, very extreme on the climate positive side of the world. But for most people, like that are aware, they're just trying to do the best they can, right? And I think the conversations get difficult because like what you do might be different than what I do, and neither one of us should be judging each other for not doing what the other person is doing. Right. Exactly. But like, and then like, there's the flip side of this, which is the folks that are like really good, you know, like they've been working at this a very long time and they were early adopters to eco-friendly living. Like I find what I'm finding right now, what I like about this community is they're less preachy than some other movements that are out there. So I hope that stays, right? I hope that living less wasteful and living lighter, it never becomes this like, you know, I equate it to like, it never becomes what like veganism almost got to, right? Like it's not scary, right? Like we need to keep it approachable for people. Like living light, like, you know, improving your footprint needs to be super approachable. It can't be something that people feel intimidated by. You know, and I think that like I think the more that people talk about it this way, it will have a greater impact on the world. So, dude, I've got a minute here, and I'm gonna let you go, and then you and I are just gonna chat you know, we'll get back to our bullshitting on iMessage. We're gonna bring Jeremy, who's the founder, on. For everybody that is watching, before I drop Ryan off, I'm gonna say thank you to Ryan, number one. Ryan, is there anything that you wanna just tell people before you leave, just while we have an audience?
No, it was good to be here. And if you want to check out True Earth, you can check it out at www.tru.earth. There's no .com. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Lomi goes. And
dude, it's been nuts.
I know, like it's a great day, man. When you texted me this morning, it's exciting to see like how crazy people are receiving this product, and not even my wife's excited nuts. To get one.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's like, it's been wild to watch. So dude, thanks so much for being here, man. This is great.
Thanks for having me.
I think you can actually just leave. And then for everybody that is staying on, we're gonna have Jeremy come on. Just start pounding the comments with questions and we'll figure out how to get Jeremy to answer them. So anything about Lomi, anything about Pela, materials, all that stuff, Jeremy's the guy. Ryan, thanks a lot, dude.
See you guys. Have a good one.
And then I'm going to just drop this off, and Jeremy, you can come on over or stand somewhere else. All right. Ask questions, folks. I'll be back in a little bit.
Hi. Say hi. Hey, everyone. Yeah, that's good. All right. We're live? Good to go? We're live. Well, first of all, thank you for everyone's support. It's just amazing. Amazing to see what can happen when a group of people gets together and believes in the same values. And it's just incredible to think how far we've come with Pela in our case and our products, and now with Lomi. So thank you, everyone, for contributing to that. And I will talk a little bit about Lomi to start with. So why Lomi? And it kind of starts with our mission. And our mission is to create a waste-free future, create everyday products without everyday waste. And, you know, it's when we started focusing on that, it reminds me of the saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So we started looking at everything through that lens of, you know, how can we eliminate waste? We started with phone cases. Conventional phone cases were wasteful. They were made from non-renewable materials, and they'd last for hundreds or thousands of years. And, you know, you only actually need it for 2 years. So that seemed like that's a lot of waste. And then we started looking at waste as far as how can we eliminate packaging waste. And then we set a a crazy goal of eliminating 1 billion pounds of waste. So, and then when we started doing that, we looked at, well, what else is wasteful? And one of the biggest things that we waste is food waste. So something like 30% of all waste in landfill is actually food waste. So, and which seems crazy. The other thing we try and do is mimic nature. So we want to find a way of preventing that food waste from going from landfill. So when we think about mimicking nature, if we think about a tree and an apple tree, let's say, and the apple and the leaf falls to the ground, and let's say you eat the fruit and you put the fruit on the core on the ground, it goes back to earth naturally, right? Provides nutrients for the tree to continue to grow to create more fruit. So nature's got it figured out. We're just trying to mimic that as closely as possible. So that's what we're trying to do with Lomi. So instead of people or us or anyone sending food waste to landfill, that's like taking that apple that should go back on the ground and feed that tree. Now we're hauling it in a truck to a landfill to where it biodegrades and creates methane instead of CO2. And that's way worse, right, than CO2. So the cool part about Lomi is by eliminating or preventing food from going to landfill, we're avoiding those greenhouse gas emissions. So we've used the EPA calculator, the Environmental Protection Agency, to calculate. We use their calculations, like how much emissions are we avoiding by preventing food waste from going to landfill. So that we calculated that. And then the other neat thing about Lomi is that if it encourages people to put it on their compost or put it in their backyard, now you're improving topsoil health. So one of the most important things that we can do is improve topsoil health. And by putting the easiest way to do that is to put plant matter back onto the topsoil. And topsoil helps to sequester carbon even more so than trees. So that's the importance of topsoil. So by using Lomi, we can, one, prevent it from going to landfill, two, put it onto compost, improve topsoil health. So based on those calculations, we can eliminate emissions and we can also store carbon in the soil. So it kind of works out to, one Lomi equates to about 100 kilograms of CO2 emissions saved and carbon stored per year. So 100 kilograms, when you times it by 1 million or 10 million, that starts to add up to some really big change. So what's really cool about it is how we can all do our part, like purchasing a phone case and choosing a sustainable product over a non-sustainable product or not as sustainable. Same thing with Lomi. We can all take the power back. We don't have to rely on governments to create recycling programs or on the waste industry. We can take control as consumers and as people, and we can really make the change. So that's really exciting stuff. What else do we want to talk about? Yeah, what's a bioplastic? So we can talk about bioplastics can be bio-based, like 100% bio-based, so made from renewable materials, or made from non-renewable materials, or blends of both, and then they can be biodegradable and compostable. So we try and focus on, we want it to use as many renewable materials as we can in our products, which is sustainable, right? We're not pulling dinosaurs out of the ground to make a product that's going to just end up in landfill and last for thousands of years. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Let's let the dinosaurs sleep in the ground kind of thing. So it makes more sense to mimic that short natural cycle of nature. So yeah, so bioplastics can be compostable, biodegradable, and that's what we're trying to do. Create products with a graceful end of life, so they go back to the earth when you're done with them.
What happens when food waste goes in the landfill as opposed to a compost?
Sure, we kind of talked about this, but when it goes in landfill, landfills are, pardon? Repeat the questions. What happens, the question was, what happens to food waste when it goes in landfill? When it's in landfill, there's no oxygen, so instead of creating like CO2 and as part of that natural cycle, like it creates methane, which is, I think, 20 times or more worse than CO2. So it's a big problem.
Okay. How long can you keep compost from Lomi for?
How long can you keep compost from Lomi for? I'm not sure about that question, but it takes about, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, and you can keep it in there for a couple of days. Hey, Danver, if you want, I'm asking Danver for here. I don't know if I understood the question correctly, but yeah.
Why is Lomi made of a plastic material?
Why is Lomi made of a plastic? Good question. So to get our first one to market, we needed to use what's available, and there's like high heat, and our next version will be using more bioplastics and biopolymers. But for this one, what we're trying to do is, when you're done with it, we are going to take it back and we'll reuse all these products, refurbish it, like all that whole circular mindset. That's the big thing that we're doing. So the first version, we are big believers in better. We want to get it out there. We want to get it to the customers. Everyone's excited to get it out there and use it. And then we're going to improve on it as we go forward.
Why does compost produce heat?
Why does compost produce heat? That's a good question. So basically when the microorganisms feed on the compost, there's like an exothermic reaction, and that creates heat. So that's a good question about Lomi, what we're doing with Lomi. So compost piles, they'll heat up, right? It's amazing how it heats up and it just makes things break down faster. And that's what Lomi does. So Lomi, we are helping nature. We are adding energy, we're adding heat, we're mixing it, we're grinding it. That helps to make the materials break down more quickly. So it's a good way to think about it is like an earthworm. So that apple and leaf that fell from the tree. So earthworms will break up that fruit and that leaf. They're working hard to break it down into smaller pieces so it biodegrades much more quickly. And that's the same thing we're doing with Lomi. We're helping the earthworms. We're doing the work for it. We're putting the energy into it and speeding up the process to make your composting that much smoother and that much easier.
And how much power does Lomi use?
How much power does Lomi use? It uses, we have the actual numbers, but it's like 1 kilowatt hour. Depending on the cycle, some cycles run longer than others, but it is, what did we figure, Danvir? It's less than
Less than $1 a week.
Yeah, it's less than $1 a week. Yeah. So
like you're using it like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Like $2 a month.
Yeah, if you're using it 2 or 3 times a week, it's like $2 a month, and which is equivalent to, we had it comparable to, it's like 1/5 of what a refrigerator would use, or even less than that, right? Like it's half of a dishwasher. Half of a dishwasher.
Can you talk about what Lomi is doing right now in the
Yeah.
express mode?
Sure. So in express mode, where our little buddy Lomi is, right here, it is adding heat, right, like the microorganisms do, and it's mixing it and grinding it and breaking those materials down faster. So the other neat thing about the best thing to feed plants are like other plants. It's like nature's fertilizer, right? So what we're doing is just helping plants break down and go back into the earth more easily.
How often do you need to change the filter?
The filters, how often you need to change the filters in Lomi? They have to be changed probably every 3 to 4 months, depending on how much you're using it. We made it so the filters can actually, you can pour it, it's carbon, it's pure carbon. You can put it into your Lomi and it helps to, process the materials more rapidly, but it also will help to improve the soil structure and improve your compost. So it's a pretty cool feature.
How big is Lomi?
How big is Lomi? Lomi is about 3 liters. So what's that in US stuff? Gallons? Like a gallon? Less than a gallon? Just 4 gallons? 4 liters in a gallon? Yeah. Yeah. So 1 gallon. Yeah. My dad will joke about me. He always used to tell me how many liters in a gallon. I think it's 4.5 liters in a gallon.
Can you talk about what products have been tested in Lomi?
Yeah, so we have tested a lot of compostable plastic products. So this is another neat thing about Lomi. When we talk about, we're taking control of where these compostable plastics go. A lot of times, even though it's certified compostable, it might end up in landfill, or the actual compost facility might not take it. So what we're doing is we're providing a method we're taking control of that. So we're breaking it down, we're speeding up that process. Yeah, and this is what came out this morning. So this is our products. So this is a Pela cases in here, and we wanted to talk about other products, but we also had a bag in here. So a thin bag, a compostable bag, it like literally disappears in 4 hours. So that's pretty exciting. So all your e-commerce packaging or your bread bags, if they're certified compostable, and we will Lomi approve them, we'll make sure it works in this, and we make sure that it doesn't turn into microplastics, that it truly is biodegradable and goes back to the earth. yeah, that's some of the things we can use. We can also utensils we can put in there, straws. Oh, I had a whole list. Yeah, dog poop bags without the poop though.
That was the question, is
Yeah.
rabbit poop.
Rabbit poop, I don't know about.
Can you put the compost into your indoor plants, or
You
does
can.
it smell?
No, it doesn't smell. This is actually we ran it last night, and this one kind of smells. There were orange peels in there. I guess it depends on when you're putting it in there, but you can put it into your house plants as well.
Can you give a zoom in version of that?
A zoom in version of this. There we go. So that was a Pela case. It ran for about 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. So a clear case. There's not much left of it there. So like again, we've acted like the earthworms and broke it down into smaller pieces and weakened those bonds in those polymers to help it speed up when it does end up in an environment that has microorganisms and moisture and all that stuff.
Will we have a list of what can and cannot go in?
Yes, we have a list of what can and can't go in Lomi. We absolutely will. That's what we're working hard on. We've already tested probably, I want to say 40 products in it. And we hope to have a larger list. Then we'll go out to brands and have them Lomi approved, and they'll be on our website. You'll be able to see which products work in Lomi. So we're really excited about, we believe, based on the support that you guys have all given us on, like with Pela case and our Pela products, and now with this Indiegogo campaign, it is like, hopefully, like we think there's an unlock here and we can all really make a huge difference by working together on this. And it's really, really exciting to think about. And, maybe it's, a point in time where we look back, it's almost like when the microwave came into your homes or whatever, that changed things, right? It changed the way we looked at things, it changed the way we heated foods. Now with Lomi, I think it hopefully will change things again, and it'll change the way products are designed, right? We don't have to worry about if it can go in Lomi and go in your garden, done. Like it's nice and neat, and anyway, lots of possibility there, so we're really excited about that.
Why is today such a big day? Like how many years in the making was this?
How many years in the making? It's probably been about 3 years, right? Denver? Yeah, Matt, when we started working on it. So really excited. The team worked so hard. It's just amazing. We call we have a skunkworks lab, but the idea of like getting a team together with unrealistic goals and timelines, but just the freedom to be creative and be yourself and solve problems. And that's what we all work together on to do. And you can see the success of it right now with our Indiegogo campaign. It's just amazing, the support. So a lot of hard work went into it, and it's just amazing to see our internal team, but external team. We think of our customers as our external team. You guys are helping us with our mission. You're helping leave the planet better for future generations. So thank you for your support. And it's it's exciting stuff.
You gave our team a line that you've been telling your kids lately. You always give our
yes.
staff a big
Yes.
inspirational quote kind of in huddle. So
Sure.
what was that? Maybe you can leave that.
Yeah, the dream big one. Yeah, so every night before bed, last thing I say to my kids is dream big. Just, you never know what can happen when you dream big and take action. But since Lomi, I've been telling them to dream bigger. It's just amazing. Like, this is the best time in history to build a product or a brand that has a mission behind it, and we can all get behind it, and we can really change the world. It's amazing what we can do when we get together. So I think if we can all, I don't want to sound too cheesy here, but like literally, if we can rally behind something and support companies who are doing business and more sustainably. So business as a force of good, we can really make changes. So make you think of, the companies that don't adjust and don't become more sustainable, they're going to have to either become more sustainable, or if the customers are choosing sustainable products over them, they're going to be gone. So that's the neat part about economics and business as a force of good. You can really make some cool changes by supporting the products you believe in.
Awesome.
How we doing?
Good. So Matt's going to come back in
right.
here, and we've got Stojo joining right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your support.
Hey guys, okay, so we're going to have Stojo come in now. Jurian, the founder of Stojo, which we're so excited about, and Matt's going to come back in to chat. Let's make this transition.
Long live the queen.
There we go.
Yo.
Hey,
How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
It's been a crazy morning.
It has been a crazy morning. We've been watching, and we're rooting for you guys, killing it.
Yeah, man, it's been nuts. I was saying this earlier on the live stream because I had Emma from Final on first.
Yeah,
and
she's great.
Yeah, when I left my house this morning. I'm up early every day. I get up at like 5, and I left my house to come to the office and at about like 6 o'clock when we started it. And by the time I got here, we had sold out of like the first early bird. So it was like we did,
oh my God,
I don't know, like $500,000 in pre-orders in like, I don't know, 18 minutes.
I was going to say, I checked in at 9:20 and you were already at almost 600K.
It's insane.
I actually logged in a little bit early. I got in at 8:55 and I think I was the fourth person to get the earliest early bird perk. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually bought
with my mom. That's
oh, did
great.
we?
Yeah.
Well, tell your mom, well done. She's in good company. But we actually bought our whole team a Lomi for, it's going to be the holiday gift for this year.
Come on.
No, seriously, it's so incredible.
You are a generous boss. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're super excited for just obviously the product itself, but what it actually stands for. When you think about the greater context, it's an amazing leap forward, I think, in the fight against plastic. So
yeah.
So cool.
We've chatted, like it's a big one. I think it's starting. We know it's big, but like it's starting to hit just how big. I'm seeing somebody say best boss ever. So why don't you tell everybody on the live, who you are and what the company is and what you guys do, and then you and we can jam a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jurian, co-founder and CEO of Stojo, and we make reusable food and beverage containers that are collapsible and leak-proof. And we like to say it makes it easier to live sustainably because it's super compact and it's always there with you. They're a lot of fun to use, and they're pretty colorful, and a lot of our customers like to match them with their outfits and kind of get their eco chic vibe going. So yeah.
Your product is like, you and I have talked about this, but like you spend a huge amount of time or effort on design.
Yeah.
Right. So why is that? Like, why do you care so much about like not just the functionality, but like why design?
Well, firstly, I just, I guess I've always just internally, I have a deep appreciation for beauty. And I think well-designed products are just nicer to be around, right?
Yeah.
And I think people who have an appreciation for design and form have always gotten that. But I think with the confluence of like social media and all the content that's out there and what the Apples and the Teslas of the world have done is shown people that you can have incredible functionality and workability and have an object of beauty and desire at the same time. So form and function.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are starting to understand, appreciate, and even demand that. So
it's great. You take a page out of Apple's playbook and you apply it to like a good cause.
Yeah. There you go. Absolutely.
So how long have you guys been in business? Like when did Stojo start? And like,
so our Kickstarter, our initial Kickstarter launched.
Oh dude, I didn't know that you guys crowdfunded.
Yeah. We were June 2014.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So it took us 2 years from the time we had the kind of the aha moment to when we had a workable prototype that we could video and do our Kickstarter video. But we actually launched the same month as the Coolest Cooler.
Oh no!
And the potato salad. Do you remember the potato salad project?
I do.
So luckily, I did not back the Coolest Cooler, but I did back the potato salad plate. That's how we got our start.
Wow. Okay, so like similar path to Emma at Final, because she Kickstarted 3 years ago, like pretty much on tomorrow. Thursday, Earth Day.
I remember that, and I backed her project too when it came out. So I like to dabble in backing cool, sustainable products on crowdfunding,
Yeah,
And
I saw somebody
yeah,
comment that they blame you for the early birds selling out so fast. If you bought
that's
some for your
hilarious.
team.
I'll take full responsibility for that.
Yeah.
My
So
bad, everybody.
so tell me what I guess like when you are looking at sort of Stojo and what you guys make, what's next? Like where do you guys have a thesis on how like what products you're going to develop next? Can you share with anybody on like what you guys are working on and kind of
Yeah.
like any big goals that you have?
Yeah, totally. So we're actually working in a lot of different directions, if you will. So the first part of the thesis, at its simplest level, is how do I personally, Jurian, remove as many sources of single-use plastic, single-use containers out of my day-to-day life? So
Sure.
at a very selfish level, the rough roadmap is what creates the most amount of trash in my life, and I'm developing products that help me there. So I started with a coffee cup, then I went to a water bottle. I've just done the salad bowl. I eat a lot of salads from May to November, and that's kind of how it started. And then so if you think about that, pretty much anything that is in your kitchen cabinet and eventually probably your travel kit, your beauty routine that carries a liquid or something that goes in a reusable container is going to be a target for Stojo.
Cool.
And then we're going to focus mainly on female consumers.
Yep.
And the reason behind that is if I want to look at a metaphor for what we're doing, we want to be Tupperware 2.0 for millennial and Gen Z consumers.
I just saw that in the comments. It's like, are you guys Tupperware 2.0? That's Huh. I like that. So why
with
why
a twist
like
though?
Tupperware? Okay, so so the twist is
so Tupperware is this iconic brand that if you actually think about them, they're they're like a Google, they're like a Q-tip, they're like a Kleenex, right?
Yeah.
You actually talk about the verb or
Totally.
the noun, and it's Tupperware.
Yeah.
So I love that. If you can achieve that, that's pretty
yeah, I
cool.
mean that's like
right?
you're in good company.
Yeah. And so will we ever be able to say I Stojo? I mean, I hope so. That'd be cool. But really, the other part of that is it's global, it's ubiquitous, and it also, what they did really brilliantly back in the day was they got their consumer hooked, and then the consumer grew with them, and it's actually a generational phenomena. So you could talk to a lot of people today who are our age, and they can relate back to when their mom or their grandmother was going to Tupperware parties, and they have memories of that, and it's a thing. And there's actually a huge secondary market for Tupperwares, like vintage Tupperware, and like talk about sustainability, right?
Like everything old is new again.
Yeah.
Of course there's vintage Tupperware.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be?
And if you're going to make something out of plastic, why not use it for years and years and years and years?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
So that's that. But why we call it 2.0 and what's so interesting about kind of, what you guys are doing with bioplastics and stuff like that is there's a future where that's not going to be made out of petroleum-based plastic anymore. And that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
that's what a sustainable container company should definitely be looking at. So
yeah, it's you hit on a really important point that I hope everybody caught. Like, plastic in and of itself is not actually bad, right? It's how we use it that is mostly bad. Like, without plastic, the modern day automobile wouldn't be a thing. Right? We'd have huge weight to power issues. Like the ratios just don't work because plastic, for its strength, it's pretty light. Whereas imagine if cars were still made out of nothing but steel, like fuel efficiency wouldn't be a thing. So like plastic, I don't think plastic is the devil. I just think, we've gotten way out of hand with how we deploy the technology. Right.
Correct.
So I love that you're thinking of, you're far enough out in the future that you're looking at Stojo and you're saying, like, right now you use I don't know the whole product catalog, but like there's silicone, there's plastic, like you're using and you're making products that are reusable because that's three
materials. So paper for the packaging. So we won't put any plastic or anything that's not plant-based ink on the packaging. So it's totally compostable and biodegradable. Polypropylene #5 plastic, highly recyclable.
Yeah.
It's really stable under heat, and then silicone, like you said.
Okay.
So totally agree with you on all that. And then if you look ahead and you're a sustainability company or you follow sustainability space, the next step is how do you get non-virgin plastic materials, and then how do you figure out what to do with it end of life. And so that's what people who support Stojo are kind of that's what you're investing in, is you're helping this brand that's committed to figuring out how to do what we do with smart circular design.
Right.
And then there hopefully will be a phase where, eventually there's no more petroleum-based plastics, and we can do something with a bioplastic. So that's the holy grail.
That's our hope for Lomi here is, that like if Pela can help solve the where do bioplastics go equation, right? Like that'll do food waste, which is a today thing. But if we can help solve that infrastructure piece, then bigger companies like your Coca-Colas, like your Unilevers and your Procters and Gambles, like people don't realize how big these companies are.
Oh my God.
But they have access to the same material science that you and I can use. Right. They just can't roll it out at a global scale because there's no infrastructure.
Right.
And that's a very real problem. Like industrial compost facilities don't want bioplastics. Like most people don't realize that industrial compost facilities make their money by selling compost. So if all of a sudden it took longer for them to make compost, you're screwing with their business model.
Yep.
Right. And these are private companies. These aren't not-for-profits that pick up your waste. So it's we have I say infrastructure, we have a whole system that needs a bit of a side door. Right. So
man.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Before you ask me a question, I just want to call out, I don't know how much love you guys have been getting from you've been going at it on Instagram for a little bit, but if people are listening in understand the ramifications of what you guys have done, and then when you scale it, it's truly mind-bending. I haven't been able to sleep since the first time we spoke. Like the creative part of me is just like, seriously, hats off to what you guys have been doing and what you just launched today, because it's a game changer. It's incredible.
There's a very real future right now where, when I try to travel to the future, what I see is, when you go to a grocery store right now and you can see certified organic product, right? Yep. That there is certified Lomi approved product. So like on every tube of toothpaste or toothbrush or food packaging, it will identify if that thing can go in Lomi.
Good.
And then that is so easy for people at that point.
Yep.
It's like, all right, this
it's a
is
symbol.
Lomi approved.
They see the symbol and they're like, done. Yep.
And then you all of a sudden it's like you didn't ask anybody to change their behaviors in too big of a way.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
just kind of like
fundamental. It's
there.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
You gotta make it frictionless enough and easy enough to work into what people are doing. Because let's be honest, we're all busy, we're all stressed, we don't have enough time. We need convenience in our life, right? And so I think it's incumbent upon businesses to figure out how to bring us that convenience.
Yes.
Like I don't care how, companies, municipalities, countries figure it out. I just want you to figure it out.
Right.
Just get to work, figure it out, and I will support you with all my dollars. And I think that's what's amazing about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, this whole thing, like, when the whole team here we've been working on this. So I don't know if you've read the book Alchemy by Rory Sutherland.
No, I haven't. I'll check it out.
He's I think he's the co-founder of Ogilvy. Everybody knows David Ogilvy.
But
also Rory, I believe it's Ogilvy. It's such a great book because, he highlights all of these, not just products, but like these behavioral changes in life when you just figure out what really motivates people. What is the actual, what can you actually do to move people? And the thing with what you just said is like, for Lomi to work, right? It has to lean into, it's not just like that we need convenience, it's that we've had it now for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Like in Western civilization, there's obviously a huge swath of the world that doesn't even have what we do. And
Totally.
we should recognize that. But,
right.
you know, for people who are in like modern day economy, like a first world country, we have so much. Like the abundance that we now live with is so much greater than even like your parents or my parents or our grandparents even had. That to ask people if the solution to environmental problems cannot be to ask people to give all that up.
No.
Ain't gonna work.
No.
Right? Life's too good for too many people to say like, yeah, you know what? We should totally go back to the milkman. And like, that's fine.
So and I'd interject that you are totally right when you're talking about mass and scaling, but I do also want to nod to the people who are the passionate folks who have figured out how to live with less and who are leading the charge, because that work is so important, because what it does is it shows everybody else what like the pain point is and what is possible and how we should be thinking of it. And they're also giving the innovators a testing ground and a tribe to try and like create problem solving solutions for.
Right.
And then you scale. So it's this incredible like ecosystem, because you have all these passionate people, a lot of them probably logged in today watching this. And you know, it's not like everything you're doing is for naught. It's not like those curbside recycling programs, the people who started the first Earth Day, like all that stuff is so important because it's an evolution, and we're just part of that evolution. But it's so heartening to think that within our lifetime, we're not going to have to worry about new plastic, you know, cluttering our waterways and our environments. We might have a hell of a time figuring out how to get all the rest of it back out of the environment. That's
I was going to say, we've already got enough in there.
Yeah, somebody's got to work on that. But this is just such a huge step. So
it's you know, you bring up and I think I don't know if it was Derek and I or Ryan and I, but like the zero wasters are kind of where Pela even started. Right, was like in that community, right? And there is definitely people in particularly the zero waste community, like people like Shelby or Catherine Kellogg or Lauren at, you know, Trash is for Tot. Like they were so early and they were pioneers in all this. And what I really love about that particular community is they're not telling people they're not good enough for living the way they do.
Exactly.
And there's been too many others over the years where that's been the approach, is like they use shame, you know, or fear. And I think the admirable thing is that they don't. Like I got to know Catherine because we worked with her for a long time, and she's like, and just knowing her, and like she would never tell someone they aren't good enough for not doing exactly what she lives her whole life in a mason jar of waste. Like that is insane.
It's mind blowing.
Right? And but like she would never say that. And that and like Shelby's been a huge supporter of ours from day one, and she's a badass, man. And she makes it so approachable that you can't not love Shelby. You know, so I think that's, you're right. Like those people that are doing that, they're doing a lot of good by leading, like they're showing the example, but then they're so smart for also saying like, do what you can.
Well, and it's all part of this like natural evolution, right? Because you have the early hardcore adopters, and then from there you have the people who actually start to figure it out and how to make it kind of interesting and scalable. And then we've gotten to a point where we're like, oh my God, there's all these things we have to solve in society, but what turns people off is negativity. And it's not really serving anybody, because it's negative. It's an energy damper, right? And so what we're trying to do is just all be supportive of one another. And I think that's why, like, at least for Stojo, one of our things is we talk about small incremental steps, changes over time, never poo-pooing anybody for how much or how little they're doing, because it's just everybody's got their own journey. And what you want to do is be rooting from the sidelines and saying, hey, you know, you did great. At least you're in the race. And if you're not in the race, hey, you know, it's never too late. Get started, take a small step, breathe, because there's so many other things that are vying for our attention. You know, families, jobs, health, you name it, right? So the more positive voices, I think, that can lead the way. Think about your favorite teachers growing up. They didn't make fun of you when you got stuff wrong. They encouraged you gently.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, as brands figure that out more and more, I think you're just going to get a groundswell of kind of momentum. And, you know, I think a lot of good stuff's afoot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I just saw somebody say any broad thoughts on Seaspiracy. Did you see that one? Have you seen that yet?
I haven't seen that, no. So tell me a little more.
You're going to realize the fishing
I've got
industry,
thoughts. They're free. But
the fishing industry is like the devil.
Oh.
That's effectively where it all lands. I mean,
Yeah.
I think anybody in this space knows how like under threat the oceans are.
Yeah.
I think Emma and I were chatting about this actually. Like the thing I love about waste as a problem to focus on is that we all experience it like every single day. And what I really like about if you focus on the ocean, so like forget climate, right?
Yep.
That's so big and scary and hard to understand. But if you think about the ocean and the importance of it on our food supply, right?
Yep.
Like so many people eat fish that if that was to die, we probably would too.
Yep.
Like that's like, to me, it's that simple. Like we really need, you know, the ocean to survive. I'm going to answer, there's one question here that says like, can you explain the difference between this and the Vitamix food cycler? Yeah. So real quick, the Vitamix food cycler is a very good food dehydrator. That's its job, right? Is it dries out food and makes it smaller. Lomi is a compost machine. So it is designed, like there's got sensors and software. It's designed to make the start of nutrient-rich compost. And that is like much more useful than just dehydrating food out. So anyway, I'm gonna answer that one. So
no, I love that. Well, because I would, if I can, selfishly, just because it's very rare that you get the founder in front of you when you've backed an Indiegogo and get to ask them questions. Can you give me a little bit of as a product innovation geek kind of discussion? Tell me how it works. So both, because I'd love to know from the banana peel standpoint, and some kimchi and some like you know, whatever, some leftover macaroni.
Sure.
And then I'd also love to know from the Pela case when you toss a Pela case in there. So can you walk us through that?
Yesterday. We threw a Pela case and some food scraps in at around noon yesterday and ran it for, what was it, like 12 hours, 14 hours, 10 hours? Yeah. So we ran it on, it's like, and it's like pretty damn close to done.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, and the idea here is like the way so you can't take, look, the reality is you can't take like a good mature compost takes about 6 months, right? So we knew from the start that we probably couldn't accelerate 6 months into a day. That sounds insane. What you could do though, and what we've done with Lomi is we've said, okay, can we accelerate the process enough that when you take the output of Lomi and you put it into the environment, that it finishes it off over time, right? So the process we're trying to mimic in nature is how earthworms work, right? So like we're trying to take, when a leaf falls and they start to break it up into little bits, right? And decompose it, they're allowing bacteria and little microorganisms to actually finish it off, right? So that's what Lomi is doing. And what Lomi actually does is it uses, and this is a big difference between it and like there's like the food cycler and there's another one. We are focused on humidity, oxygen, and heat, not just heat, right? We're not trying to dry it out. We're trying to find, and we're teaching Lomi to find that rhythm that would be in Mother Nature and just bring it down to a small time scale. Right.
Are there enzymes or bacteria at play in this as well?
Well, there is, like when you throw food scraps in, there totally is, right? And that's the difference. Like if you were to just like heat up waste and blend it up, you would be killing off a lot of the good stuff, right? You don't want that to happen. You actually want bacteria and little organisms to have a fighting chance, so that when you drop it, like if you were to take what comes out of, like the most used cycle for Lomi is going to be about a 24-hour cycle. So like in your average house, you'll run it a few times a week, right? You'll fill it up. It's a 3-liter bucket. and then
Yep.
you'll run it, and it'll run like from dinner time one night to, you know, the start of dinner time the next night. And, you know, then you can fill it up again. So that longer cycle never heats up to the point where it's killing those things. And actually, like if you were to run that long cycle and open Lomi up, like this one is mostly CNC, you know, clear plastic, right?
Yep.
You'll actually, like when you open the lid, you'll see all the moisture coming off of it, right? So it didn't heat up to the point that like it got rid of what is required, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's, dude, that's been the hardest part. The hardest part is figuring out the software and the programming of the sensors to make the machine do what it needs to.
And so is the machine actually connected to your app in a cell phone, or is it connected to Wi-Fi?
Not yet. So like future versions totally will.
Yep.
You know, we're definitely going in the direction of like, how do you make the user experience on this thing like exceptionally good? You know, we're going to figure out ways to like not only educate people on how to use it, but it'll like the experience will be great. Somebody just asked how hot it is. Look, it's running right now, and it's not that hot.
How long has it been going?
I started this, or Cassidy started this about 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
So this cycle right now, this is more of a dehydration cycle. Like it's going to finish in about 4 hours, right? Just to condense it down. And then we'll leave it in there, and then we'll run it on a long cycle with some more food waste, you know, tomorrow or something.
I saw another question about noise, and because I've read the FAQ, I can answer that. It's about 60 decibels.
Yes.
And it's on par with like a coffee maker or a dishwasher. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's actually much more quiet than like my dishwasher. Yeah. You know, there's some really quiet dishwashers out there, but like it's been running the entire time we've been live, and it is not at all a problem. And then even for smell, like you don't, like we spent quite a bit of time and still are perfecting the filtration system, and like how do you mask? Because here's the real challenge, like the other real challenge with Lomi, and this is another big one with like the food cycler, for example. The food cycler will use like plastic proprietary filters, and we don't want to do that. We want to use charcoal that you could fill yourself, and then we'll sell filters. Our filters are actually going to be Lomi approved. Like you can take the filter out when you're done and compost it in Lomi.
And put it right into the Lomi.
Yeah, so zero waste
I
even
love
with
that.
the filters. So like we try to think about it like full stack, right?
Yep.
So the filters too, you know, the challenge with smell is to get rid of it entirely. Means there needs to be no oxygen. And without oxygen, there is no composting process. So trying to strike this balance between how do we minimize the smell while still allowing for the amount of airflow and humidity to make Lomi really work. Like that's that's the engineering, you know, that's why it's taken almost 3 years to get to this point.
That's incredible.
And the damn thing works. Like the reason we did the live is to show people like, look, we started one yesterday. We're going to start one right now. While we're going to do it live, we're going to show you what comes out. Like this is what came out of this morning. So you can still see like on a short cycle, like this is let me find, like that's the biggest piece of what's left of our case. So like that size now, that's tiny, right? So like if that was going into a garden, that's going to finish. That will not take forever to, like that'll be, you know, months and it's gone.
Did you guys chop it up before you put it in?
No, so we cut the case into like 2 or 3 pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
like the smaller the better. For sure. Yeah.
And then so you cut it into 2-3 pieces, you throw it in, and then it being like that granulated already. Is there a blade inside that does agitate
it's not a blade. It's a like a turning. Right. So
it's
not there to like chop. It's there to like turn mostly. Yeah.
So
super slow.
It actually is really broken down. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh God, I can't wait to get my hands on this thing.
Dude, I know. Like food waste wise, it's great. All right, dude, I have to let you go because I'm gonna.
It's been a real pleasure.
Kieran,
absolutely, somebody way smarter and more impressive than me.
Oh, never, man. It's always good to see you, man.
Kidding.
So,
same here.
Thanks so much, dude.
Don't be a stranger now that you know you've got one of the most successful Indiegogo campaigns of all time. I'm calling it here, but it's been awesome, man. Take care.
Thanks, man. See you, dude.
Bye.
Does Kieran
Do
come
I
in?
cancel
I
out?
think you
Do
can
want-
just drop off, Julian. Yeah.
All right, let me see. X maybe?
X on the top right. Yeah. Sweet. Everybody wants to be an intern. Woven. There she is. I think she's coming on. No. Yeah. Everybody bear with us. We're going to bring on Kieran from... Keep saying your request wasn't sent.
No,
Not that one. Oh, yeah. Here, we'll send a request over to Woven and see if we can get them in. So whoever's from Woven, we're sending you. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
It worked.
It worked. I know. I don't log into Instagram that much, so this has been a bit of a shit show for me. Yeah, I know. It's so funny. Like you and I've chatted about this, but being a brand on Instagram and you're not using the app really is kind of weird.
No, I'm like, it's okay. I know how to do this. I can figure it out.
So why don't we start off? So number one, thank you for being here. But tell everybody who you are and what Woven is, and give us the spiel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Kieran. I'm founder and CEO at Woven, and Woven is a sustainable activewear and swimwear brand based in LA on a mission to make sustainability sexy. We have a lot of prints, which are made by my partner Will and I, and all start as artwork that we make, like this painting behind me.
Nice.
And we also have some sustainable basics, which are really great to style with our prints. And yeah, that's a little bit about who we are. We are certified carbon neutral, and we're members of Approachable Planet.
How long have you guys been around? When did you start this?
Started Woven in 2014, but the first 2 years it was very much Will and I just in our car going to music festivals, selling clothes to people we would meet on the road. So it's been much more serious the last 2 years. But yeah, first couple of years were kind of a fun time traveling around.
Now, do you spend most of your time on the product design? Is that your passion?
I wish. Yeah, no, it's certainly a passion, but it's not what the bulk of my time is spent on. I would say product design for our team is very much a team effort at this point. Right. Everyone's super involved in product design, whether or not it's what their background is in. Sure. Just because it's, we're a small team and we're all hands on deck for every project that we work on.
Right. So, the topic I've been kind of having different founders and entrepreneurs on all morning as we kind of do the launch of Lomi, which is our little guy right here. I would love to talk to you because I know this is something that you're super into, but I would love to talk today about accessibility and let's start with accessibility, right? So sustainability, how do you make it accessible? How does Woven think about that?
We think about it in a lot of different ways. One of the ways that we think about it is, of course, with our price point. So, the nature of making sustainable clothes is that they are often a little bit more expensive, which makes it so that they naturally exclude certain groups of people, which are often minorities, right? So what can be really challenging with that is, we want to have a brand that's really accessible to everyone, but we also want to maintain certain standards when it comes to our materials, when it comes to the partners we work with on our production, the certifications we seek out in our fabrics. So it's really important to us to try to find ways to make at least segments within our line affordable. Right. So even if, not everything is going to be within your price point, we want to have a collection of items that are more easily accessible. Right. Because we do believe that sustainability should be affordable. And so that's ultimately something that we're really working towards. And I think as we scale, it will become a little bit easier as we hopefully begin to take more and more ownership of our manufacturing.
Yeah, I think if this is why I wanted to chat with you, because I think for everybody watching, there's intentionality there, right? Like you are thinking about it and you want to get to that point. Like we talk about making accessibility at Pela a lot. You know, like our most people don't know it, like our materials, when we make a case, the materials we use are literally 600% more expensive than like traditional plastic.
100%.
Right? But we try to sell at the same price as a traditional plastic product, right? So, you know, what you're talking about is very difficult. And Derek and I, Derek from Tentree, we were chatting about how challenging this is in the apparel industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. And I think something else that people don't understand is that, you know, the production of virgin polyester is so much more affordable than making
so cheap.
rPET.
Yeah.
Even it's so cheap, right? It's
yeah.
dirt cheap. And you know, when you really get into it and you look at, okay, what is, you know, the life cycle analysis of this material, how much water is, you know, required to produce these fabrics,
right?
That's where there are these nuances that being in the industry we're aware of and, you know, we care really deeply about, but it's hard to convey things like that to your everyday consumer, especially in something, you know, like a Facebook ad or
right.
however you're trying to connect with your consumer. So it's really challenging. And I think that's why opportunities like this to have a conversation are so helpful, because you get to dive into some of those more nuanced, more specific things about your product that are a little bit hard to convey just through your website.
Oh man, like in the attention, you know, I guess deficit that is like a social media feed. Like you've got seconds to try to get the attention of somebody, and it's not really like, you're not going deep, you know, it's not like you and I are going to chat for about 30 minutes. It's not the same thing at all. You know, the second thing I'd love to hear your thoughts on, and I think we've talked about this, but like when we talk about accessibility, you also think a lot about inclusivity, right? And
yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that's been a big one in the last like 12 months. So, you know, maybe I could just ask you to riff on that a little bit, particularly like, is there like an overlap that you see?
Well, I think ultimately, you know, for me, I don't believe that sustainability should have a certain aesthetic or a certain body type that is associated with it. And
yes.
Often I think the nature of sustainable brands is this super minimal aesthetic where everything is like off-white and
right.
green. And, you know, I think that ultimately there should be as many sustainable options as there are other options, so that you have the same range of, you know, whether it's apparel or home
mm-hmm.
goods, the same range of offering that you would have in a non-sustainable product. And so that inherently means there have to be a range of prices, there have to be a range of body types, there have to be all of these different ways that everyone can be included within the world of sustainability.
Yeah, our theme for the year here at Pela has been like sustainability for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with that is almost every great business focuses on a very narrow customer. Right? Like when you think about like, how do you build a company, right? Most conventional wisdom says like, you need to pick a person that is your customer, niche down. And like, it's gotta be like, you know, define your girl or your guy. And like, that's who you go after. So like, how do you reconcile that? How do you think like, okay, there is no body type, there is no skin color when it comes to, you know, making a sustainable product. But then for your marketing and for your business, you need to pick somebody to like put in the clothing.
Right. And you can't pick everybody.
And you can't pick everyone. It's like you have a bajillion pictures on your website. It's not technically possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, woven is about community.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that whoever wants to participate in the brand is invited to. And I think in that being a big part of who we are as a brand, it's an open invitation, right? So if the brand resonates with you, you're invited to contribute to what the branding becomes, whether that's by, you know, posting photos in the clothes or being a part of our ambassador program. I think leaving it open is a way to sort of say, hey, you know, maybe you don't see yourself represented here, but you're welcome.
Yeah.
And we would love for you to be here.
Yeah. Do you have a team of people that is like having conversations with your customers like that? Like, how do you do that at scale? Because you guys have a lot of customers, like you have a big community.
Yeah, our team is small and it's definitely a challenge, but we try to stay as connected to our ambassador community and our customers as we can. I think ultimately that's where you receive the best feedback, right? Especially about your products and what products to make next. I'm sure that for you guys with the launch of Lomi, you know, you've taken into consideration a lot of what the Pela community is asking for, what their concerns are, and then, you know, you're trying to create for them. And I think ultimately that's where you learn the most, and that's where you're, you know, the people who are participating in your brand can become part of molding the vision as the brand grows. Yeah, it's as a company, like I think as the kind of brand that you are, and like what we're trying to become, it's really important to invite people in and have like as transparent and open a conversation as possible. I was laughing before I was on with Jurian from Stojo, right before you. We got banned from Facebook from commenting on our own Lomi posts because we had commented too much. So basically Facebook said, you guys are spamming the Facebook group for Lomi by answering questions too fast. Wow. That they shut us off. Like, this is the right. You're like, this is great customer service. Like, this is amazing customer service. And like, Facebook wants you to respond super quick, but then that was too fast. So we're going to shut you off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like you're just trying. And like, which brings me to this, you know, my question for you, which is like how do you think about, like, do you struggle with thinking like you're never doing enough? Like, is that a thought that comes into your head? I mean, absolutely. I think that's the never ending, you know, in my mind, especially when it comes to sustainability and inclusivity and all these things that we care deeply about. I mean, I don't really talk about this often, but initially when I started Woven, what I wanted to do was open a community center in LA. Woven, give back to a program that we had set up. And I think something like that is ultimately a long-term goal. Right. But having your own nonprofit while also running a business is very challenging. I really admire people who do it, but I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So, you know, I love 1% for the Planet because we're able to partner with these organizations that we're really excited about and that we trust and that are, you know, independently vetted to do that type of work without having to take on having our own, you know, foundation or organization. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. We've chatted about it here. Like, should we start our own nonprofit division that like does something? It's just so much work and like the red tape is wild. So like, even though your intentions are good, it's sort of a, you know, you have to look at it and say like, well, all right, so you can have a lot of impact with Woven and focus your attention there, and going the other direction, you may have less. Like that's, you know, that's a reality, right? Like, you know, I always admire people who think a little bit bigger and a little beyond their local scope, but maybe I'm curious, like, cause I didn't know that about the LA Community Center. What, like, do you guys do work in LA? Like, are you focused locally at all as a company? We are, especially through COVID. Yeah. We were working with the LA County Relief Fund during the pandemic to, you know, try to give back to our local first responders. Yeah. But in a more general sense, we work with organizations across the globe. Like our, you know, deepest partnership is with One Earth, One Ocean, and each woven sale helps divert 1 pound of ocean-bound waste. Awesome. And that partnership is mostly in Guanabara Bay. So, you know, that's where they're cleaning up, which isn't in the US, but, you know, the reality is a lot of, you know, over the years, so much of our waste has been sent offshore. So I think often contributing to projects like that can be beneficial because it is still our problem, you know, that we've tried to send away. I think it's not. It was like a couple of years ago, I think, when China stopped buying America's waste. Actually, they stopped buying Canada's waste, America's waste. Like, they stopped buying all the waste. You know, there was a big story a couple of years ago when that happened, and then it kind of died off. And people don't realize, like, our garbage now is actually piling up in our own backyard. And for a long time, it was being sent to China, and they would do the recycling, right? So you're right. Like, when people think, you know, what are we doing locally? Sometimes the best thing to do is to go after the source of these problems, which is going to be other places in the planet, which is where a lot of plastic enters, or non-obvious things like the fishing industry. Like, there's just so much else beyond the beach that you see every day.
even on the beach that you see every day is important.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the organizations that we work with helps work to prevent future pandemics and, you know, works with animals to try to figure out like where are these diseases being developed. And that's something that's very far away from maybe what Woven as a brand is about, but also has so much to do with just the state of the world right now.
Right. What, well, yeah, definitely. What is next for Woven? Like, what are you guys working on right now? Is it always just like more product? Like, what else do you think about every day?
You know, it's really hard because ultimately we don't really want to be in a position where it's always about more product, right?
Right.
Because
it's the forever problem of being a brand.
Yeah, we want you to be excited about the products that we've always had, but that can be really challenging, especially, you know, with print design or with basics. We very much are trying to create these products that will last in your closet for years to come, that you're still going to be excited to wear, you know, 10 years from now. And that just in and of itself is so different from constant product launches and just the way that fashion typically works, which is in, you know, this sort of cyclical, seasonal way. So, you know, we're really trying to set ourselves apart in having these pieces that are everlasting, but in that being the case, you know, we have prints that were designed in 2014 that we're still like out here promoting, which if you've been with us since 2014 is very boring for you. Right. So we're trying to kind of find that sweet spot between, yes, we want to be launching new products, but we also want to make sure that the products that we're putting out there are products that will, you know, live in your closet for years to come and that you'll remain excited about. And, you know, there's a way that we have to navigate what is trendy or what, you know, people are excited about within apparel while also maintaining those values. And usually
it's so hard.
Yeah. And, you know, the brand that we always look to, which is our sort of North Star as far as brands go, is Patagonia, right? Because, you know, you can just wear the same jacket until the end of time and it'll still be your favorite jacket. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's another brand too that, you know, when it comes to inclusivity, it's like my dad owns the same jacket that my boyfriend owns, which is the same jacket that I own, which is, you know, and it's cool and it looks good on everyone and everyone's excited about it. And I think there's something that, you know, it's like, hey, this is a really functional item that everyone needs. But there is, I think Patagonia also plays a little bit in the fashion world. I think they
they thread that
very cool
with like design and like some design sensibility along with that functionality, right? Yeah, it is. I think, like, you know, I'm not in the apparel business, but it is very, very difficult I can just imagine. And I talked to Derek about this at Tentree, like you have to keep up with trends in that fashion cycle, but somehow still also be, you know, holding to your values, right? What
I mean, and that's like the anti-trend, right? We don't.
Totally.
I mean, it's sort of similar with trends. Another thing I think about is trends across social media, right? Like, for example, the unboxing experience, right?
Yeah.
And our unboxing experience is like, you get your package in a recycled mailer.
Yes,
it's wrapped in a piece of hemp string.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And I'm like, we have the most boring unboxing experience ever. It comes in a sleeve and like it's a brown paper envelope that if you got it wet, it would probably just disintegrate. Like, you know, like minimal packaging. But then
can you
your community
compost
probably
your
loves
packaging
that.
at home?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can. Yeah. See, that's awesome. Right. And then, I mean, our community does love it, but there's that constantly having to navigate, okay, what is that instant gratification of, you know, maybe in that moment, that Instagram story that we're going to see would be more exciting if there was all this extra stuff in the package, but it's not who we are. So just constantly having to really lean into what our values are and know that that will attract the people who sort of belong to our brand.
Where do you go hunting for materials? Like how, like, I mean, I don't know anything about your industry, but like, how do you find the best materials to make your product out of? Because that's part of your values, right? Is like, you're always looking for like, what is the most sustainable material to make a swimsuit out of?
Yeah, 100%. So my partner Will is so dedicated to exploring new materials, and it's very much part of what he does. And there are so many cool materials that we have just in development right now that we're really excited to bring into production. But the reality is we're a small team, and it's really lean, and we don't have as much time to focus on it as we would like to. But there's so many cool fabrics out there, like ranging from banana leather to fabrics that are made out of algae, and just there's so much that you can be doing. And I think that's, as we scale, something that we really see as part of our path towards becoming more sustainable.
Yeah, we've actually, I don't think I've told you this, but we have a material here now. We have a big material bank that we work on, right? And we're always testing and finding new stuff. But we actually have one that is a fully compostable leather. So it's not, it's made from a similar resin to our case. So it's plant-based and entirely compostable. So now we're not making anything out of that yet, because it's obscenely expensive to make. And like, I couldn't actually make something affordable yet.
Okay, so I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
So what do you guys think about bioplastic mailers, right? So like the mailers that claim to be home compostable.
Oh yeah, totally. So this morning, actually, when we loaded Lomi, right, we took out what Lomi digested the night before. So like, that's the dirt that came out. One of the things we put in Lomi yesterday was a biodegradable shipping mailer from a company called Pela, and super, like, really high efficacy. Like, it disappears in hours. So Stella McCartney actually uses them for their shipping. Cool. Yeah, I think the e-commerce, like all online shopping, could go in the direction of like very, like, because you got to think, the materials themselves are used to fill a box or hold a product. They don't need to last that long. So like the long-term efficacy of those types of bioplastics doesn't actually need to be there. It's not like your Patagonia jacket, which needs to be made really, really well. It doesn't need to last 5 years. So like those mailers, there's some really good, there's also some shit. Like there's some real crap.
Of problems with some of those mailers, for sure.
But that, like, that's the whole point of Lomi though, is that we're going to show people, and we're going to have a list of like here are all the products that are approved. And just like your food waste, you could throw like those mailers that you get for your online shopping, you could throw into Lomi.
Right. So, I mean, we use recycled and recyclable mailers, right? And that was a very conscious choice because we felt that the majority of our consumer is not composting at home. And so I think if home composting was more readily available, that would be a very different conversation. I think you guys are working towards that, which is really exciting.
We're trying.
But, you know, we thought about it and we were like, yeah, this compostable mailer idea is really exciting, but
it's super cool.
Who's composting, right? I mean, not that many people. It's very exciting when people are, but I think your average person is not.
It's like, and
or at least not yet.
No, not yet. And then there's like, you know, the world of, not yet. We're going to fix that. We're going to make, and I saw somebody like talk about the price of Lomi, and it is still expensive. Like for most people.
How much is Lomi?
Lomi's retail price right now is about $500. The crowdfunding campaign today, I think it's at about $349 or $369, somewhere in there, right? So the early adopters are going to get a better price. But I can say this, our goal as a company is to make this insanely accessible, right? Like it's going to take us a few years, but I want one of those in every house. I want it to be like a microwave or a dishwasher where every house has one, and we can all participate in this like circular economy, right?
I mean, a very different product, but something that we talk about a lot is we have a wash bag, right, that helps prevent microplastics from going into your wash. And we thought about selling the attachment that goes inside the washing machine, but that's another accessibility conversation, right? It's easy to buy a wash bag. It's a lot more expensive to go install something into your washing machine. So I think there's a level of like, you can participate at sort of an entry level price point, and then as you're able to afford more expensive products, you can sort of have this wish list of things that you're working towards.
It pains me that like my ops team has to deal with me all the time. I'm constantly asking them like, can you make it cheaper? You know, and the answer right now is like, not until we sell a lot of them, because like the R&D that goes into them is super expensive, right? Where I think we'll get to though is like, yes, it'll be less expensive and very, very quickly. Right? Because like, it's just like I don't know if people realize this, like the first Tesla was a Roadster and it cost like $280,000. right? And the money from that Tesla Roadster funded the Model S, which then cost $100,000. And the money from that then funded the creation of the Model 3, which is like $40,000. And it just goes on and on and on.
Right.
You know, and we're following a similar path. Like, we're going to try our damnedest to make this as accessible of a technology as possible. Because I think, like, even if you have a green bin system in your city, right, like, this can easily fit into that infrastructure and make that infrastructure even more efficient, right? Because, like, you know, transporting waste around, it's heavy, especially food waste, and there's a big impact, carbon impact of that. So, like, I think the more that this is out there, the overall, it's a net win to the world, right? You know, and I love the analogy of the bag, the laundry bag. Like, it's such simple things that can have huge impact. Like, love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, composting is ultimately something that could become as accessible as recycling has become, right?
Yeah.
If you think back, recycling wasn't always something that everyone participated in.
Sure.
And now even people who are not that engaged in consciously thinking about sustainability do recycle.
They do. Yeah. If they only knew where it went, which is
right.
good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? It's like waste management in general, I think needs a rethink. And, you know, while I would love it if every single city in the US and Canada offered a green bin program, and I think a lot of them will over time, I still think that green bin program isn't going to solve bioplastics, which we have to go to. Like, the world needs to get off of oil-based plastic, and we need to start thinking. I believe that, like, we need to start thinking the way that Elon does, which not in everything because he's a little crazy, but in the part where, like, look at your house and distribute some of this, right? Like, Lomi was built on the idea of the Tesla charger, you know, so, like, electric cars weren't adopted early on because there was so many gas stations, and people are like, well, there's no electric charging stations, and how does this work? But Tesla made it easy for you to put a charging station in your house.
Right.
Actually,
and one of our carbon offset projects is exactly that, funding creating electric vehicle charging stations, because I think it's one of those things that the more accessible it becomes, the more people can participate in it. But being able to take ownership of something like that yourself and have it in your own home is a game changer. And I think that's where, you know, home composting is a great place for people to start.
Totally agree. So I've got 2 minutes left, and I want to ask you what is Woven up to for Earth Day? Like, what are you doing? And, you know, tell people where to find you.
Yeah, for Earth Day, we are having a yoga class and a beach cleanup in one of our local LA beaches with a bunch of our ambassadors. So really excited for that. That's something that, you know, we're excited to be able to see our community in person again. I think we've been missing that energy of just connecting in person. So really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Kieran, I mean, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure you and I are going to chat soon. I owe you a phone call or something. Now that Lomi is launched, I can, like, probably take a breather and, you know, enjoy my life a little bit. So I'll let you go. I really appreciate your time, though. It's been great. And I mean, you obviously have a super loyal audience because some of them have showed up and sung your praises. So whatever you're doing in your community, keep it up. It's really great to see.
Thanks, and congratulations on Lomi.
Yeah,
can't wait to get one.
Thank you so much. You can just X out in the top right or something. Yeah. Awesome. All right, I'm going to drop off, and I think Sarah's going to come back on. If you have any questions for our team, they will be around. Danveer is also going to come on in 15 minutes. Danveer is our lead material scientist here at Pela. He knows a weird amount about compost and dirt and all those things. So if you have questions about Lomi, which is still running behind us, and we're going to stop in about 30 minutes and show you how far Cassidy's food waste from her house has gotten, just ask the questions between now and then, you know, in about 30 minutes from now, we'll wrap this up and show you what's coming out of Lomi in about 4 hours. So thanks, everybody. It's been great chatting, I guess, to you, and great questions. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Throw me some hearts. How we doing? Cool, awesome. Thanks guys. Appreciate that. So, okay. Awesome. So you've got to chat with all the founders of some of our absolute favorite brands and our CEO, Matt, our founder. And we're almost coming to a close here. So I've got our customer service in the comments here. So ask all your questions. If you've got some specific for our material scientist, Dandre, he'll be on in 15 minutes. So flood the comments with your questions. In the meantime, while you're asking all of those, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we've been up to at Pela for Earth Month before I take you behind the scenes on a fun little TikTok shoot. So first off, like Matt mentioned, and I think Jeremy mentioned as well, but we're on a mission to eliminate 1 billion pounds of waste and make 1 billion pounds of plastic never be produced in the first place. So we have to date been able to do over 500,000 pounds of plastic from ever being created, and we've donated over $500,000 to 1% for the Planet charities. So just to talk a little bit about what we're doing at Pela beyond creating everyday products without everyday waste. This past month, this April month, we've really wanted to highlight that. So we kicked off the month with Take 3 for the Sea. That's their handle if you want to check them out. And we did a 48-hour share campaign. You might have seen it. You might have participated in it. If so, thank you so much because you made a huge impact. We actually totaled in those 48 hours the equivalent of picking up 125,000 pieces of plastic from our oceans and waterways in 2 days. So that's unreal, you guys. That's the epitome of collective impact. Then you got to hear from Derek, the founder at Tentree, a little earlier on this live. We actually partnered with Tentree just last week or the other week, and we were giving away 10 trees for every Pela case purchased within that week. So that was amazing. We were able to plant over 90,000 trees. So we're so excited about, we love collaboration. Like there's no way that we're going to reach our goal alone. It's through all of you, it's through all of our partners. So we're so excited about the impact, collective impact we've been able to have this month. We launched our Earth Month collection. So I was kind of showing you those cases that we designed in collaboration with Kika McFarlane. We're so excited about that, and it seems like you guys are too, which we always love to see. And then we also, if you haven't seen, head to our blog because we've been throwing up some guides each week of how you can get involved in having an impact on creating a more sustainable future for everybody. So everything from how to write a letter to your local government, how to spot greenwashing and question the brands you purchase from to make sure you know what you're consuming. And then I mentioned earlier, but this Earth Day here in our local community, our staff is going to be participating in a shoreline cleanup. So we encourage you to do the same in your own. Definitely tag us in your stories of doing shoreline cleanups, sidewalk cleanups when you're out walking your dog. I know myself, I'm always seeing litter on the ground now that I have a dog. So tag us in those on Earth Day. Show us how you're cleaning up the world, and we'll be doing the same. We'll be showing you behind the scenes of our own cleanup. Okay. Otherwise, am I good? Okay. Okay. I'm going to head now to our studio where our team, I believe, is doing a little TikTok, and we can get behind the scenes on that. Okay, walking through, heading, so here, I'm gonna flip you guys around. Always gotta knock when a shoot's in progress, guys, but I think they know I'm coming. Hey friends, you're live, hey! Okay, Pela community, so this is our creative team over here. Let's talk first to Tess, our videographer. I'm a videographer. Oh, she's watching the live. How fun.
How you doing?
Who are you, Nick?
I'm the designer at Pela. I also take some photos. Today I'm just working on
sneak peek, sneak peek. Cool. Okay. What's going on over here? Community team.
TikTok.
Love it. Who's
Canoe at Good Boy Canoe on Instagram, and a little sneak peek of something that could be coming for your pets if you're a dog or cat owner.
Yes. Yeah. Who produces that, or who's going to be coming out with these products that you're holding?
Our community brand, Barksby. If you don't follow them, they produce currently some really cool zero waste, all natural, handmade dog shampoo bars, conditioner bars.
Look how soft he is.
For your pet. Canoe is the perfect model. He is the softest dog in the world. Almost as soft as a pillowcase.
Thanks to Barksby.
All Barksby. So we are shooting with him today a little TikTok. You might know the song by Bruno Mars.
Yeah. What's the song?
It's Talk Me to the Moon by Bruno Mars.
Oh.
We trend inverted, so we're going to use Canoe to show our new leashes by Barksby.
Good boy, Canoe. Okay, let's watch it. Let's watch the magic unfold.
Okay, you ready, Alex? We need to motivate our model here. So come on, Canoe. Good boy. Sit. Stay. Stay. Good boy. Look here. Focus. Good boy. Just a little drool.
Just a teeny amount of drool.
There we go.
Yay! Woo!
His Instagram handle lives up to the name. Okay? He's a really good boy.
Oh, good. Gotta make sure his dad knows that. Cool. Sweet. Was that a one-take wonder?
Let's check it out.
Oh my gosh.
Make sure you follow us on TikTok so you can see the final product. We also have some other fun colors coming out. I don't know if we can show those to our audience yet, though.
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay,
it.
if you're gonna
Sneak
turn
peeks,
around,
guys, just for you.
We've got green, the same green as one of our best-selling cases, Summit. And then we've got a really fun pink on the go. And these collars and leashes are soft, just like Pela. They're super durable, so you know they're gonna keep your dog safe on the trails. But they can go in your compost bin at the end of the day, so it's not contributing plastic like some of the synthetic collars and leashes that you currently might see on the market. And this is the nice lavender color. Canoe is modeling black because he's a classic guy. So we've just got a nice neutral color for any dog.
Nice. Sweet. And then you guys recently saw our latest vision launch, but we brought out some of the frames. So we've got the Solanas here. Okay, show me hearts. Let me know in the comments, which are your favorite. So we got Solana, Cocos, and Nusas. Which ones are you wearing this summer? Let us know. Cool. We're also doing some fun new things with our vision line that we're very excited to come out with. But yeah, let us know what you want to see next, because maybe we can squeeze it in. Look at everybody. Nick the designer. People are stoked. Love these. Hi, Tess. You guys are the best. Cocos, yeah, Cocos are the top seller. Nice. Okay. Lunch is here for the creative team. But why don't who wants to take the team on, or the community on a little tour of the studio?
Oh, I can
Yeah. Okay, guys, here's Milo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Milo. I'm the junior videographer here at Pela. We're just in our studio. Here's the gang. Yeah, so this is our space. Pretty cool. I'll just flip you around. So we got our desks. That's Nick's desk right there. Tess's desk. Kristen's desk. She's not here. And then, of course, my desk. Here's our backdrop where we do all of our shoots and stuff. Over here is where we shoot our cases and stuff. So we have this big light right here, which is pretty cool. And then we'll set up the lights on the side like that, which is cool. We got our papers and stuff. Our backdrops are back here. And yeah, this is it. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty big spot. Yeah, usually we have our music playing pretty loud. A lot of energy in here compared to the other side. So yeah, a lot of creative minds at work. We also got a good view like the other side. Honestly, I think this view is probably better than the rest of the office. I'm just gonna put it out there. Get the high rises and the stuff going on. And so yeah, that's about it, I think.
Milo, what's
That's
your
my
favorite
tour.
Pela case?
My favorite Pela case. You know, I don't think I have a favorite. My case right now, I just have the classic white because it's clean. So.
What hat are you wearing?
Oh yeah, wearing a Tentree hat. It's backwards, but it says, what does it say?
Make Earth green again.
Make Earth green again by Tentree. So, very nice. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Back to Sarah.
What's up? Okay, guys. Yeah, we just got a few minutes left of our Q&A with the Kristen, whose desk is over there that Milo pointed out, says, miss you guys, wish I was there. We miss you too, Kristen. Yeah, Milo mentioned they've usually got the music pumping in here. So I don't know if you guys saw, but we have a mood board on Pinterest for our Earth Month collection that we released. And the creative team actually threw in their Spotify playlist that they were jamming out to while they were shooting the Earth Month collection. So keep an eye out for that. Every month, we're hoping to kind of do a little bit more of that. But if you ever have some, suggestions, we always want to hear from you. Slide into our DMs, or will they arrive before Christmas? Okay. These are all questions that Matt will be able to answer in a couple minutes here. I'm actually going to walk back to where Danveer, our material scientist, is going to be hanging with Lomi. And Matt, I'm going to pass you back over to Matt, who's going to chat with him. And you're actually going to be able to check out the final product, the end result of our express cycle that, if you were with us first thing this morning, Cassidy started off our live with loading up Lomi. It's been live composting this whole time. Before I leave creative team, give a big wave to creative and community team. Love you guys. Bye. And Canoe. See you soon, hun. Okay, cool. So now we're going to check out the end result of Lomi, our express cycle. So I'm heading over to the other room here, and I am going to find Matt. Danveer is going to hang out with Lomi, and I'm going to grab Matt, who is somewhere. In the meantime, I'm going to walk through our HQ again, and you guys get to see more and more and more. Swing set, in case you missed it the first time. Probably one of my favorite spots. Actually, you know what? While we're doing this, there's like the oldest Pela case ever over here that I find interesting. Hello. Guys, can you see this in the light? Look at this. Look at that. Crazy! It's crazy how it's changed. Yeah, and as you can see, we've got little like meeting rooms as well, or like individual rooms, so we've got that open air office like I showed you before. But if you really need to like bunker down and focus, or have a meeting, you're able to book those little rooms. So yeah, it's a great spot that we have here. And awesome. I'm gonna locate Matt. It's a big spot. So okay, while the team grabs Matt for this final part, I've got Danveer here, and yeah, we're gonna open the Lomi soon, but first Danveer is gonna answer all your science-y questions that I cannot answer. Eco-friendly swaps, are you going live with anyone else today? We're just about to finish off with our CEO, Matt, and Dan Veer, our material scientist. And they're going to open up Lomi and show you the end result of our live compost that's been going on. If you're with us first thing this morning, Cassidy filled it up. And yeah, we're about to check out the final results. So I'm going to pass you over to Matt and we'll go from there.
Asking if we're going live with anybody else today. Not today. No, we've been on here for 4 hours and I am starving. So we're going to go and eat. How much volume does Lomi take? About 3 liters is the answer. So 3-liter bucket inside that machine. The machine's about the size of an espresso machine, coffee maker. It's not very big. It'll fit in a standard, cupboard, right? A bottom cupboard. It'll go in there pretty easily. 1 second. Go live. I'm just going to bring in Dan Veer in the other room on the other phone. What do we got here? There we go. Dan Veer, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Are you going to show us how Lomi's doing? When is it finished?
It's gonna be finished soon, and I'll probably open it up in a moment. Okay. So that's a cliffhanger for all. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly walk you through what exactly Lomi does, and talking more about what we have here from our end product this morning, and how exactly Lomi creates compost. Talking more about the science behind compost. So. Okay, to begin with, Cassidy, as you may know, yesterday put some waste inside, and what we had inside was the bioplastic cycle. So if you may see what's inside, it's reduced waste, which is a great source of nutrients. And by nutrients, technically I mean it has macro and micronutrients. So it has all the NPK, sodium, potassium, and then the micronutrients, which is some part of the inorganic contents that soil needs to create healthy plants. And talking more about these bioplastics, the Pela case that we had inside here. So as you may have seen already, so this is the end remains of our clear case.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry. So this is the end remains of our clear case, and I think it's mentioned on our Kickstarter webpage as well. So what exactly Lomi is doing is it's providing that heat, that grinding mechanism, even in aerated compost pile in your compost facilities. You have big excavators that time and again turn on those piles to provide that oxygen, that air, and that's what exactly what we are trying to do here. We are taking in air from the surrounding and providing that heat so that we can simulate that compost-like environment. For somebody like me who loves composting, I don't have a green bin program here in Kelowna. Neither do I have a garden. So I live in an apartment, and this is a solution to me at least. I love composting, and I think this is what we are trying to do here. We are providing that accessibility to people who really want to be more sustainable, reduce their carbon footprint. Anyway, so the end compost, as I mentioned, we are trying to provide that compost-like environment in this device through which we can break down, these bioplastics and these organic matter. And what you have in the end is a rich source of micronutrients, macronutrients. Talking more about this compost, so just like your soil needs to have an alkaline pH for plants to grow healthy, and then you need to have those nutrients, and you need to have some sort of conductivity as well. So all these organic matter, they provide those nutrients. Just like I'd say, the more healthy the food waste you have inside, if you have fruit peels or green leaves, veggies, all those things in Lomi, the more healthy this end product will be. So there are a couple of things that we have advised our consumers to put in Lomi and not put in Lomi. As a rule of thumb, just remember that if there's anything that can harm the grinder inside, we suggest not to put it inside Lomi. So this is the bucket. we have for Lomi, and there's a grinder inside, and it's just meant to like fragment or break down all that waste that you put in, just like as Jeremy mentioned, like, you know, an earthworm fragments and break down that organic waste. That is what exactly this bucket is doing. So any hard bones, or maybe even for the bioplastics, make sure that Lomi can handle them. And we've been testing a lot of different, you know, mailers, Pela products, and they seem to be working really well. But we'll have a list of Lomi approved products, and make sure you don't like put a lot of them and without the food waste, because end of the day we want to provide those microorganisms to eat those bioplastics when you put those compostable products in there.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And okay, so talking more about the filtration system, I think a quick thing that really makes us unique here is the activated charcoal technology that we are using here in Lomi. Ideally, that has a lot of benefits to the environment, from sequestering carbon. So we are trying our best to reduce our carbon footprint as much as possible, even in manufacturing this. And you know, we are using that carbon that could be waste, but we are trying to give it a new life, and we are using that activated charcoal here. And we are still testing that. We are still trying to validate that. But in an ideal scenario, there could be a case where once you're done with the filter, the activated charcoal in a certain amount can go back in Lomi. And if that goes to your backyard, to your soil, that will provide nutrients. So that is what we are still trying to figure out, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to reduce our carbon footprint that way. Okay, so that's mostly about the compost. We still have some time. I see the cycle hasn't finished yet, so I'm just gonna still like give a few more moments for Lomi to finish up the cycle, or just wait for some time. Until then, if you guys have any questions, more than happy to answer them.
Hey, Danveer, somebody asked, like, what is carbon sequestration for people that don't know?
Okay, sure. Carbon sequestration, that's a good question. So it's the, I think, that's actually very scientific, but I'm trying to have it
Give English, man.
So
English.
imagine the carbon dioxide that is in the environment. What we're trying to do is, with the whole Paris Agreement and climate crisis, we want to reduce the amount of carbon or greenhouse gas emissions that we're emitting. And for that, what we are trying is, we are trying to take that excess carbon that we have emitted through taking out fossil fuels, petroleum, gas engines, everything, gasoline engines. So we are trying to take back that carbon and then maybe have that in the soil, or maybe have that, you know, what direct air capture companies are doing. So they are taking that carbon from the air, and then they are trying to make products out of that. So that's carbon sequestration. It's basically carbon storage. Like a tree, yeah, just like
trees do it, yeah.
Trees, yeah, that's a very good example. You know, that trees during photosynthesis, they take carbon from the air and give it oxygen. So that's exactly what's the main fundamental thing behind carbon sequestration.
Super cool. Are we? So how much longer until Lomi's done, or do you just want to stop it early? What do you want to do?
I think we'll probably stop it early. I'm still certain that whatever is inside is very close to compost, like what the ideal product should be. As we are saying on our website, like the smallest cycle is, you know, as little as maybe 5 hours or so. It hasn't been 5 hours, but we'll still, you know, stop it mid-cycle and we'll show what's inside. Just because I know our viewers have been waiting to see what's the final product look like.
Awesome. Are you gonna pick the camera up and show them like the inside?
Yeah. Are there more questions, or?
Yeah. What does Lomi reduce the volume of food waste by? So even if you're putting it back into the garbage, how much volume is it reducing by putting it in Lomi?
Okay. So this question is about volume reduction, as in how much volume is reduced of the end product. And I would say it varies depending on, you know, how much moist is the waste that you're putting in. So it varies from like 60 to 80%, and that's a big thing if you talk about volume compaction and the waste that ends up in landfill. I think Matt already touched on that, but it really reduces the amount of waste ending up in landfill. Which, if you talk about the whole life cycle assessment, it's less waste going in the trucks, which in turn release less emissions from their engines. It's less waste being managed. So there's a whole life cycle assessment behind it, and in the big picture, that really reduces the carbon footprint. Okay, so I think we can.
Questions in the forum.
Yeah. So apart from that, I think I'm just gonna quickly see.
So we can open it up and talk about the product,
Yeah.
how we use it.
Yeah. So I'll probably, I think, since it's almost time, we'll stop Lomi. And this is not something that is recommended though, because we want the Lomi to complete the whole cycle and then you open it, definitely for safety reasons. But as an engineer, I think these things. I wouldn't suggest, you don't have to put gloves if you are dealing with Lomi. The only reason I am putting on gloves is because it's going to be hot, and it's not, as I said, it's not suggested or recommended to open it mid-cycle. And you don't have to, again, wear gloves. The only reason I'm putting them on is because it's going to be hot. But, just to justice with time, and I know everybody is curious to see what's inside. So, okay, we're going to stop Lomi, and we have tried to make it really intuitive in terms of just press the button once and there it goes. So you can see the blue light blinking, which means it's paused. And as I open the lid, there could be steam and water because of obvious reasons. There's heat inside, and then there could be a little beep for 5 seconds, and that's again just for safety reasons. We want to tell the customers that if the lid is open between, they get to know. Okay, drum roll.
This is after 4 hours, right?
Yeah, so this is after almost 4 hours, and again, this is not complete, but if you see inside, it's really hot. I'll try taking the bucket out. Okay, so there you go. There's the waste. From what Cassidy put in this morning, it's almost broken down. It's really, really like less than 1/4 of the bucket, and I know in the morning it was more than half of the bucket. So that's the end product, and if you want me to, you can see it here. It's almost broken down, reduced in volume and in mass. So it's all dried out. It's almost, as a compost, you can probably let it sit outside. I'll probably let it sit outside because it's really hot right now, and once it cools down, it is good to go as a compost in your backyard or in your plants. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, Danveer. So I think we will end the live here now that everybody has seen our little Lomi here do his job. Appreciate it, man. This has been great. So any other questions you got for people who are watching, just hit up our customer experience team. They're standing by. They've been answering hundreds of questions all day long. We're here. So, and they're very fast. They're weirdly fast. So hit them up and they'll answer when they can. All right. Thanks everybody. We're going to drop off.
Okay.